With previous battle experience, leading the encirclement this time, the three of Xia Hong were naturally adept. Xia Chuan was the first to move his fingers. Several threads flew straight towards two rodents, and with the cooperation of the other five, they first entangled their limbs. The two rodents clearly sensed danger from the six people, their expressions slightly flustered, but their reactions were quick, each turning into silver light, constantly trying to break through the gaps between the six to escape. Unfortunately, Xia Hong and the others wielded their blades to block, leaving them no gap. Sparks flew as teeth clashed with blades, and after a dozen clashes, all hit the blades of Xia Hong and his team, showing no signs of breaking through. And with these over 10 headless charges, their range of movement increased, and their limbs were entangled even tighter by Xia Chuan's white threads. Exert force kill. Seeing Xia Chuan's white threads were already taut, Xia Hong seized the opportunity when the rodents were exhausted, shouted fiercely, stepped on the long tail of one rodent with both feet, stomped hard, leaped with the blade and struck towards its neck. At the instant his shout echoed, Xia Chuan in the distance exerted force with both hands. White threads instantly tightened. Both rodents stumbled, flipped sideways and fell to the ground. At the same time, Luo Yuan and the three Zhao brothers, seizing the opportunity, abandoned entanglement, gathered strength with their blades, and almost simultaneously with Xia Hong, slashed towards the back of the other rodent. Crag Drek. The sound of bones breaking rang out consecutively, except for Xia Chuan in the distance. All five of Xia Hong's blades cleaved into the bodies of the two rodents. Although the four of Luo Yuan hacked at the spine, the blades reached nearly halfway into the rodent's body, showing the strength of the four. Xia Hong was even more extreme, hacking at the neck. Though the rodent eventually avoided it, he still struck the back of the head. With this strike, the rodent's skull shattered directly. Flesh and brains splattered everywhere, leaving not a single intact bone in the head except for those two teeth. Not far away, Chen Ying and his son, as well as a few adults from Chen Yi camp, were already dumbfounded, filled with shock in their hearts. These two powerful cold beasts, capable of wantonly slaughtering humans, lasted less than 3 minutes in the hands of these 6 people before being slain. Could these 6 perhaps be gods? At this moment, even Chen Ying, who had previously seen the Xia Hong brothers, couldn't help but have this thought in his mind. When they came to their senses, everyone looked at Xia Hong and his team with only deep admiration and awe in their eyes. Clean up and run quickly. Chen Ying and the others' thoughts were unknown to Xia Hong. He instructed Luo Yuan and the others to clean up the battlefield quickly, turned and saw Chen Ying and the others still standing in place, and couldn't help but speak angrily. "What are you standing there for? Run south quickly." Awakened by his words, Chen Ying and the rest immediately continued to flee south. On their end, seeing Xia Chuan and the others tidying up the battlefield, Xia Hong said nothing, directly led the way south at full speed, with the 5 of them carrying the 2 wrapped rodent corpses, following closely behind. Lighting the first torch and taking a detour from the south took over 5 minutes. Watching the rodent swarm pass took over 2 minutes. Just now, it took 3 minutes to kill the 2 rodents, which already exceeded 12 minutes. Xia Hong roughly calculated the time in his mind, realizing that those torches would soon go out, hurriedly sped up his pace, catching up with the personnel from Chen Yi camp at the front in just a few breaths. Seeing Xia Hong approach, Chen Ying and the others, despite their injuries, immediately knelt down in excitement. "Leader Xia, great kindness and virtue." "Leader Chen, time is tight, no need to say this, keep leading the people to run." Xia Hong helped up Chen Ying, directly interrupting him, and after pondering for a moment as he saw the slow-moving crowd, he turned and said, "Zhao Long, you 3 take them back to the camp as fast as possible. Chuan and Luo Yuan, stay with me to cover." "Yes, leader." The 3 Zhao brothers immediately nodded in compliance, each carrying a child, then ordered other able adults to carry the children as well, urging everyone to leave quickly. With the organizing of the 3 Zhao brothers and the assistance of Chen Ying and his son, the previously confused crowd quickly became orderly, and the efficiency of the southern retreat improved significantly. Xia Hong and his team already found a tree, stood on it, and watched everyone evacuate before breathing a slight sigh of relief. Luo Yuan couldn't help but shake his head with a sigh. "Chen Ying and these people, they are really lucky." "Indeed lucky, I saw the faces of Chen Ying and his sons. They haven't eaten for at least 2 or 3 days, must have been trapped too long, ran out of reserve food. and as they just escaped the cave, they probably intended a final desperate fight, stumbled upon us leading the rodents away. If the timing had been slightly different, none of them would survive. Hearing Xia Chuan's words, Xia Hong couldn't help but nod, internally marveled at the luck of the Chenyi camp people. Fortunately, elder brother suggested checking back on the rodent swarm's movements, otherwise those 2 rodents might have slaughtered them all. Tonight's plan up till now should be considered a success. None of you 6 came to harm. There weren't many cold beasts along the way. The likelihood of issues with others is low. By morning we'll know. For now, just wait and see if the rodent swarm will return. Xia Hong spoke while keeping an eye on the outskirts of Redwood Ridge to the northwest, hoping the rodent swarm would never return. Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan also looked towards Redwood Ridge, their expressions a bit tense. Thud thud thud. However, just 3 minutes into the watch, just when the torches were expected to go out according to Xia Hong's calculations, a loud noise came from the ground. First sensing it, Xia Hong was the first to look up. Seeing the endless silver rodent swarm returning swiftly towards the north slope of the mountain wall from the northwest edge of Redwood Ridge, Xia Hong's face instantly turned grim. They're back. It seems there's definitely something on the north slope top that's attracting these long-tailed rodents. We can't stay here. Let's go quickly. After speaking, Xia Hong turned without looking back, running south. Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan followed closely behind. As the 3 ran south, their expressions didn't look good. The rodent swarm returning to the north slope of the mountain wall meant that tonight, their high-risk, manpower-intensive diversion plan was completely declared null. Having exerted such effort, and the risk not reduced at all, equated to useless labor, and the 3 felt exceptionally heavy in heart. With great speed, the trio soon caught up with Zhao Long and the others. Leader, the situation how? Zhao Long instinctively wanted to ask about the rodent swarm, but seeing Xia Hong's face, realized things were awry and wisely held his tongue. Leader Xia, about 100 meters up from the north slope on the mountain, there should be something attracting these rodents during the day. I haven't seen it myself, but hiding in the cave for over 10 days, I can sense it. Chen Yi came over at this time, speaking with respect towards Xia Hong. Apparently, during the escape earlier, he'd learned of Xia Hong's plan from the 3 Zhao brothers, and seeing the grim faces upon the trio's return, he realized the rodent swarm had come back, hurrying to explain what he knew. Hearing this, Xia Hong nodded. This affirmation from Chen Ying reinforced his earlier suspicions. To draw such vast numbers of rodents, whatever's atop the north slope is certainly not simple. But whether it's Xia Hong or others, realizing this didn't spark any greed, instead only a deep worry. After all, nothing is more precious than life. The massive rodent swarm presents an overwhelming threat to Great Xia's current capabilities. No benefit, no matter how great, is theirs to claim. Rather, should the rodent swarm move slightly and discover the valley, it would be total disaster for them. As long as they remain on the north slope, any hunting, logging, or gathering by Great Xia outside risks detection. It's like a sword hanging over their heads, ready to fall at any moment. The issue of the rodent swarm must be proactively resolved, and it can't be delayed. But the strength is insufficient. What means are there to resolve them? Xia Hong considered solutions for dealing with the rodent swarm as he headed alongside the team towards the valley settlement. Leader, we've arrived. A mere 2 kilometers distance, coupled with the rodent swarm scare, the group's advance was swift, reaching the entrance to the valley settlement in no time. After over half a year seeing the gates of Rojal camp again, the expressions of Chen Ying and his sons showed slight emotion, but upon looking at Xia Hong, their hearts filled once more with hope and longing. On the return, Zhao Long told them not just about tonight's rodent diversion. Rojal camp is now a thing of the past. The valley is now under the control of Great Xia camp. Xia Hong is the sole leader. Da Shi, Huang Zhao, Da Chuan, and over 100 from the former Rojal camp have all joined Great Xia. With a total of over 800 people, Great Xia camp now boasts 6 earth-digging realm individuals, and over 100 logging realm, a gathering of strong ones. If these revelations were enough to leave Chen Ying dumbfounded, then upon hearing the current system of Great Xia camp, especially the distribution system for cold beast meat, Chen Ying was left even more astounded. Hunting team, logging team, collection team, camp supply station, and craftsman workshop, 5 major agencies, earth-digging realm 10 pounds daily, logging realm 5 pounds daily, All above 6 years count as reserves, reserves with a daily quota of 1 to 2 pounds. Even children under 6 receive 5 pounds per month along with crystal fruit as supplementary food. If not for witnessing the divine presence of Xia Hong and his 6, no matter who said these words, Chen Ying and his sons might have considered them mad. How could this be possible? Is Great Xia's cold beast meat falling from the sky? Bombarded by such information, when Zhao Long mentioned Great Xia's intention to take in the over 200 from Chen Yi camp, Chen Ying became completely numb, naturally unable to refuse. He now had only one thought, to enter Great Xia camp and personally verify whether what Zhao Long said was true or false. It doesn't have to be all true, even if just 1/5, no, even if just 1/10 is true, I'd be satisfied. As they entered the valley, this was the thought in the hearts of Chen Ying and his sons at the last moment. After all, even if Zhao Long exaggerated, with just 1/10 truthfulness, they could still receive half a pound of cold beast meat each day. With such a mindset, the three, following behind over 200 from Chen Yi camp, slowly walked through the passage into the valley. It's so warm in this valley, isn't it? This, such a large house. Is that canvas on the roof of that house? So many people. How come there's so much wood, so large, so much? Crystal fruit, is that the scent of crystal fruit at the cave entrance? There's a smell of meat, I smell meat, it's cold beast meat, I've had it before. As they hadn't fully entered, exclamations of surprise and admiration started to emerge from the front of the formation. The three of Chen Ying and his sons, hearing this, felt further curiosity and instinctively quickened their pace to reach the front of the crowd. Chapter 129, Chapter 113, Did I Fall into Heaven? When they reached the front of the crowd and saw the scene in the valley for the first time, the three members of the Chen Ying family instantly understood why those people had just gasped. First entering the valley, a wave of warmth hit them, the temperature rising almost immediately. Heaps of timber piled high on both sides of the valley, most of it being golden frost wood. In the outer areas, there were neatly cut planks, and many people were working hard with saws and tools beside them, clearly crafting materials for wooden houses. From a small cave on the southern side of the valley, the aroma of crystal fruit wafted out, almost tangible, and could be clearly smelled even from dozens of meters away. Someone emerged from the cave, holding dozens of azure blue cold beast meat, each weighing hundreds of pounds by sight. Others carried bags of crystal fruit inside, and came out with their bags empty, clearly storing the crystal fruit inside. Unsurprisingly, it should be the warehouse of the Great Xia camp. In the center of the valley stood a massive square wooden house, approximately 200 meters long on each side and 15 meters high. The wooden house gleamed with a faint golden light in the firelight. Chen Ying could tell at a glance that it was all made of golden frost wood. The roof was four-cornered, piled high with snow, yet at the eaves the beast skin tarps under the snow were clearly visible. Generally, the outermost layer of beast skin with fur is suitable for clothing. The second layer is more durable and resistant to decay, suitable for writing records. The third layer is toughest and hardest, often used in tarps at the camp. Ordinary beast skin tarps would not shock Chen Ying, though. The issue was the vast area of this wooden house, with its roof entirely covered with beast skin tarps, which was incredible. The walls of the wooden house appeared about 6 meters thick, all formed from single golden frost wood logs, with large iron reinforcements visible at the joints. The two grand doors of the wooden house were 5 meters high, mainly of wood but bordered with iron bands, exuding a sense of weight even from afar. The doors were wide open, with people carrying planks in and out, their hands mostly holding wooden tools, while some even had various iron tools. The second and third floors of the wooden house featured half-meter diameter wooden windows. Through the open windows and by the firelight from inside, it was clear people were busy at work. A spring-like warmth, endless timber, freely obtained cold beast meat and crystal fruit, a giant wooden house interlaced with iron artifacts, people's hands holding various iron tools. At first sight, the Chen Ying family was completely dumbfounded. Much less in the camp, people were gorging on cold beast meat, including children, the smallest appearing less than 10 years old. Moving the massive lumber, there were 40 to 50 people with logging realm strength. In front of the wooden house, 4 campfires were set up, each with dozens of complete beast skins roasting on the spit, women beating them with wooden sticks, clearly processing the hides. Young children ran about, brandishing wooden toys, laughing and playing. Seeing all this, the Chen Ying family was left speechless, and the other 200 from Chen Yi camp were even more so. Have we reached heaven? Is there such a place in Redwood Ridge? Is this the great Xia camp? Everyone stood stunned, eyes full of disbelief, many even thinking it was a mirage, instinctively pinching themselves. Realizing it was all real, everyone, including the Chen Ying family, broke into smiles. Over half were moved to tears with joy. But after the joy, they all turned worriedly toward Chen Ying. The Chen Ying family shared this anxiety, especially seeing Xia Hong and others, upon entering the valley, went straight to the large wooden house without discussing the arrangement for Chen Yi camp, leaving Chen Ying uneasy. Would such a powerful great Xia really take them in? While Chen Ying was anxious, a young man, even younger than his sons, approached with a smile, calling out to him. Leader Chen, rest assured, since our leader decided to take you in, we won't go back on our word. Here, we're all family, come with me to register. Seeing the young man's friendly face yet imposing stature, even more so than his own, wearing a uniform like what Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan had, Chen Ying dared not show arrogance, promptly bowing respectfully with his sons. May I ask who is this gentleman? The young man appeared surprised by this address but seemed pleased, chuckling and waved it off, saying, Just call me Shi Ping, I'm no lord, just a member of the camp's supply station, following Lord Xia Chuan's order to record the new arrivals. Please follow me. Shi Ping. Hearing this name, Chen Ying paused as if realizing something and hesitantly asked, Might you be Shi Qing's? Old Chen. Before Shi Ping could respond, an excited voice came from behind. Chen Ying turned his head, immediately showing excitement on his face. Old Shi. Seeing Shi Qing approaching, the young man deferentially made way. Chen Ying immediately realized he had guessed right. Old Shi, your son is remarkable. Shi Ping's aura surpassed his own, wearing one of the rare full-set uniforms of the great Xia camp. Directly under the command of Xia Hong's brother, Xia Chuan, it showed his significant standing in the camp. Not bad, not bad. Hearing the envious tone, Shi Qing was greatly pleased. Though aware of Chen Ying's misunderstanding, he did not explain, laughing heartily, leading Chen Ying and others from Chen Yi camp to register. The population of Great Xia was close to 1,000, with living spaces limited. There was no need for a stringent household system. Registration was merely to note numbers, names, and ages, aiding in organization. As individuals from Chen Yi camp, all 200 plus, reported names and ages, Shi Ping noted them on the leather scrolls, quickly categorizing them. A total of 212 people, 37 are under 6, not yet of age for cold beast meat. They'll receive 5 pounds of meat monthly. It can be smashed with crystal fruit for supplementary food. The remaining 172 are all reserved for the militia, with strength under 1,000 pounds, and a daily quota is 1 pound. Additionally, Leader Chen, Chen Shang, and Chen Ping, all of Logging Realm. The collection team currently has vacancies, so you have no choice but to join. Once in the team, the daily quota is 5 pounds. Previously, Chen Yi camp escaped from the cave with 277 individuals. Still, being pursued by those 2 rodents midway resulted in over 60 deaths, leaving only 212. Little Stone, just call me Uncle Chen. Please don't call me leader anymore. Now that I'm part of Great Xia, it would be a joke to continue that. Seeing Shi Qing, Chen Ying relaxed. They'd known each other from years ago, and he recognized the name Shi Ping because he'd seen him as a child. Thus, he spoke more freely now. Noticing everyone was assigned to different teams, and the cold beast meat quotas were announced, Chen Ying was naturally pleased. The cold beast meat was secondary. Most importantly, from Shi Ping's arrangements, he was sure Great Xia genuinely intended to accept them. It wasn't just him. Chen Shang, Chen Ping, and the rest from Chen Yi camp realized they were part of Great Xia from today, feeling settled, no longer anxious. Old Chen, you're lucky. The wooden house should be complete in 2 days. You'll get to live in a new house upon arrival, haha. Being early doesn't beat impeccable timing, haha. With a settled heart, Chen Ying was more inclined to chat. Hearing Shi Qing's tease, he just shook his head and explained how they arrived. Shi Qing had missed the discussion about the rodent horde, though Shi Ping was present. Hearing the harrowing escape of Chen Yi camp and the massive rodent horde on the northern slope, Shi Qing comforted Chen Ying, but soon realized the significant threat facing Great Xia camp. Learning the rodents were drawn away but returned to the northern slope, knowing that Great Xia was not yet out of danger, Shi Ping and Shi Qing showed worry. In sharp contrast to the joy of Chen Yi Camp's people, Xia Hong had just returned to a temporary wooden house. Seated alone, Xia Hong wore a look of worry, his brow furrowed deeply. He'd maintained this attitude since returning to the camp. The torches aren't working. We can't fight them, can't flee either. Must we truly just wait for doom? To wait idly by, hoping the rodents wouldn't find the valley camp. What's the difference from awaiting death? There must be a way. First, calm down. According to Chen Ying, the lure for the rodent horde is above the northern slope, farther from the valley and hopefully unnoticed. If things turn serious, we'll take everyone back to the mound. Constantly without a good plan, Xia Hong forced himself to stay calm. Though the crisis was near, it hadn't arrived yet and they couldn't panic. Exhausted from the night outside, Xia Hong lay back in his chair to rest, though before he could relax, Xia Chuan and Mu Dong entered. When they approached and Xia Hong opened his eyes, Xia Chuan was the first to speak. Leader, the people from Chen Yi Camp have been settled, totaling 212, including those above 6. As Xia Hong listened and nodded, he learned more details about Chen Yi Camp's many children and adults and their gender ratio beyond the system's knowledge. Once Xia Chuan finished, Xia Hong looked to Mu Dong, who displayed an eager expression, guessing what was about to come. Leader, tomorrow, the wooden house can be completed. Despite still pondering the rodent horde, hearing Mu Dong, Xia Hong couldn't suppress a hint of joy. A new home, after over half a year of construction, was finally near completion. Chapter 130, Chapter 114, New House, New Rules, New Starting Point 4-in-1 Mega Chapter. In fact, the moment the rodent swarm appeared on the north slope of the mountain wall, the significance of the new dwelling was no longer as great as before. 6 months of preparation, taking nearly 7 months in total, a massive amount of gold and frost wood, iron ore regardless of cost, almost everyone in the camp involved. If so much manpower and material were invested solely to improve living conditions, then Xia Hong was just being irrational. The greatest purpose of the new dwelling, built at such a high price, was to defend against the cold beasts constantly expanding out of Redwood Ridge. According to the original design of the wooden house, with 6-meter-thick golden frost wood walls, reinforced at key points with iron fittings, even when faced with cold beasts like snow mane with powerful impact, there wouldn't be any risk of collapse unless 100 charged at once. The cold beasts expanding from Redwood Ridge currently include snow mane, frost wolf, and golden sheep, which means once the wooden house is built, they can protect themselves even if the cold beasts discover them during the day by hiding inside the wooden house. If discovered at night, they can even use the house's defenses to hunt the attacking cold beasts. Improving living conditions is merely incidental. After all, compared to safety, comfort is not considered a significant need at all. Unfortunately, with the arrival of the rodent swarm, Xia Hong's plans were all for nothing. With the rodents' abnormal tunneling ability, the large swarm on the north slope of the mountain wall, Xia Hong even has doubts whether this wooden house, or even a house made purely of iron, can stop them. Before getting rid of that swarm of rodents, the security guarantee brought by the new wooden house is certainly minimal, and Xia Hong is not the only one who understands this. Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, and the other 5 also know. The second night, in the temporary wooden house. Just after Xia Hong finished eating cold beast meat, feeling the long-awaited immense heat within his body, his eyes immediately showed a joyful expression as he quickly stood up and started practicing long boxing. Xia Hong's basic strength of over 20,000 pounds, combined with his mastery of the long boxing routine, can display a force of up to 30% more, which is over 26,000 pounds. Such terrifying strength accompanied the fist pouring out crazily, with explosive sounds ringing continuously, causing the outer walls of the wooden house to tremble and the bonfire inside to crackle fiercely. Today is the last day of the completion of the new residence, and there's a lot to do. Almost all the adults in the camp went to help, leaving only about 100 young children in the temporary wooden house. The harsh environment made these children understand the importance of strength early on. Seeing Xia Hong's imposing boxing now, their eyes were full of admiration and awe. Some of the braver ones even imitated Xia Hong's moves and began practicing earnestly. No wonder he's the leader. Even the sound of his punches is louder than others. Nonsense, The leader is the strongest in our great Xia. My father is in the hunting team, and he said the leader alone can hunt cold beasts. I will definitely become as strong as the leader in the future. Luoan, stop bragging. You're not even 6 yet and can't even swallow big chunks of cold beast meat, yet you want to become as strong as the leader, ha ha ha. Ha 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 indeed, Luoan boasts too much. Zhu Ping, you also got stuffed eating cold beast meat yesterday. Don't think I don't know. Just wait, once I can eat big chunks of cold beast meat, I will definitely be stronger than you. HMPH fine, then let's see who's stronger. The whispers of the children inside the house, though lowered, could not escape Xia Hong's ears as he was practicing his punches, and hearing their childish arguments, he couldn't help but smile wryly. If he remembered correctly, among the two arguing, Luoan is Luo Yuan's son, and Zhu Ping is Zhu Yuankai's son. Both are not yet 6 years old. Nowadays, children in the camp are not the same as before. The last time, it was tested that the minimum age to eat cold beast meat is after 6 years old, so the age standard for reservists was directly lowered to above 6 years old. In other words, anyone in the camp over 6 years old is now included in the reserve, while children under 6, although unable to digest large pieces of cold beast meat, can still improve their physique by making baby food from mashed crystal fruit and cold beast meat. These children under 6 each have a personal monthly quota of 5 pounds, plus their parents, who are at least in the reserve, making most of their daily diet to include cold beast meat baby food. In just a few months, changes have already taken place in these children eating the cold beast meat baby food. Not only have they grown rapidly, but their physiques have also soared like calves, and they often practice boxing with other adults, completely changing from their past frail and weak image, adding much vitality to the valley. Xia Hong knows well that this is only a short-term change. Improving physique is a gradual process, and this batch of children's current changes are merely a beginning. Being able to eat cold beast meat baby food under 6, once they start formally eating cold beast meat at 6, with the foundation in place, their training speed will definitely far exceed their predecessors. And as generations continue to propagate, the physique of people born later in the Great Xia camp will also rise to an extremely terrifying height. Perhaps one day, as long as they are descendants of the Great Xia, their physique will far exceed other humans, and even rival cold beasts, unafraid of deceitful monsters. Thinking too far ahead, Xia Hong chuckled softly, shook his head, and just as the heat in his body had almost dissipated, he walked to the force-measuring stake beside the chair, tested it, and nodded. Chapter 131, Chapter 114, New House, New Rules, New Starting Point 4-in-1 Mega Chapter /2. 20,400 Jin, an increase of over 200 at once. As expected, the previous slowdown was because of immunity to the first 3 types of cold beast meat. Eating mouse meat restored it. We need to devise a plan to hunt different types of cold beasts. With the speed of strength enhancement finally restored, Xia Hong naturally felt relieved and joyful. The limit of 30,000 Jin was not far off. After the excavation level, the next step is the cold resistance level. Reaching that stage would allow free movement under sunlight. As a normal human, Xia Hong's yearning for sunlight was profound, only he truly understood it. Almost a year in this world, and he had yet to see what the daytime world looks like. But after reaching the limit of 30,000 Jin, how to break through to the cold resistance level, I still have no idea. Perhaps I should scout the Arrow Bamboo Forest in advance. When the time comes to go to the hive camp, I'll be prepared. Xia Hong pondered for a moment, then suddenly realized something, shook his head with resignation, and patted his forehead. The most urgent task is the rodent pack on the north slope of the mountain wall. Without solving this big issue, everything else is pointless, so let's not waste time with wild thoughts. Xia Hong was unclear about the strength of the cold resistance level. But at least he could be certain that even if his basic strength broke through to 30,000 Jin, handling the rodent pack alone was utterly unrealistic. The rodent pack needs dedicated monitoring to prevent any unexpected occurrences, but the person assigned should be more agile. Let's think, who should be sent? Before pondering for long, Xia Chuan's slightly excited shout came from the door. Leader, the wooden house is completed. Upon hearing this, Xia Hong couldn't help but feel a bit excited as well. He stood up from his chair and followed Xia Chuan out of the temporary wooden house. Make way, let the leader in. Within the valley, a massive crowd gathered at the entrance of the giant wooden house. Upon hearing Xia Chuan's call, everyone turned their heads to look at Xia Hong and stepped aside, making way for a path. As Xia Hong walked through the path, he took in the excitement and joy on people's faces along the way, and he couldn't help but start looking forward to the new residents. Arriving in front of the wooden house, the 5-meter-high light gold structure and the black iron-framed door came into view. Standing by the entrance was the excited Mu Dong. Seeing Xia Hong approaching, Mu Dong helped push open the door. Behind the door was a 5-meter-wide passage. As Xia Hong took the first step inside, Mu Dong followed closely, starting the explanation, and a large group of people followed them in. The two doors are 5 meters tall and 2 meters wide, both edged with black iron, with iron latches fixed beneath. People inside can hook them, and once hooked, no matter how much force is used from the outside, at most the wooden parts might get smashed, but toppling the two doors is impossible. Next is the first floor corridor, 5 meters wide and 75 meters long. The left and right sides are rooms partitioned by boards, each room 10 meters by 10 meters wide, totaling 360, divided into southeast, southwest, northwest, and northeast sections, all with corridors and marked signs. At the end of the corridor is the central hall, 50 meters by 50 meters, with 4 load-bearing pillars and 8 more spread across the other 4 sections. This area is specifically for collective activities. Leader, look at this iron refining furnace. As Mu Dong explained while walking, Xia Hong had reached the central hall. In the middle of the hall, a more than 2-meter diameter iron refining furnace hung from a thick chain connecting above. Looking up, Xia Hong noticed that the second and third floors of the wooden house had left a large hole over 5 meters in diameter precisely for the iron refining furnace's ascent and descent. As expected, Mu Dong stepped forward and pulled one end of the chain. With a gentle tug, the iron refining furnace slowly ascended to the second floor, where he let go to latch the chain. Even though the iron refining furnace had ascended to the second floor, the firelight still illuminated the first floor's hall, with no reduction in bright light, just as before. The iron refining furnace now serves not only as a light source, but also for heating and iron refining. Considering the functionality on all 3 floors and its weight contributing to the wooden house's stability, I designed this device. The iron refining furnace's chain is hooked with the cast iron beams on the ceiling. The beams are interconnected with key iron components in other areas. In case of external force attacks, applying weight to the iron refining furnace greatly enhances the building's stability. Pulley systems, elevators, connected structures, and the previous mortise and tenon joints, woodworking components. How many new things has Mu Dong come up with? He's truly a talent. Even Xia Hong's gaze towards Mu Dong slightly changed. While Xia Hong had the ideas for these things, doing them from scratch with bare hands was certainly beyond him. Yet Mu Dong managed to create all these things with the tools and concepts provided, almost unbelievable. Not only Xia Hong, but the large group of people who came in mirrored the sentiment of Grandma Liu visiting the Grand View Garden, looking around excitedly to the extreme. Indeed, although most of them were involved in the construction, the majority only handled a small part. Their understanding of the entire wooden house was naturally less comprehensive than Mu Dong's, so their amazement upon hearing his introduction was no less than Xia Hong's. Chapter 132. Chapter 114. New House, New Rules, New Starting Point 4-in-1 Mega Chapter /3. Leader, this way. Mu Dong gestured invitingly, leading Xia Hong and others to continue moving left. On both sides of the hall, there were 2 wooden staircases, clearly leading directly to the second and third floors. Because the stairs were right in the middle, once on the second floor, everyone arrived directly at the central hall. Meanwhile, Mu Dong continued his explanation. The second floor is 5 meters high and is meant to serve as the camp's council hall, so the space has been maximized. Additionally, it connects to the iron refining furnace, the blacksmith room, the martial arts training ground, the alchemy room, the craftsman workshop, and the camp supply station, making it a multifunctional floor. The second floor has fewer partitions than the first, only 280 in total. The first floor is underground, and for safety reasons, no windows have been installed. The second floor is different, with windows 10 meters apart on all 4 sides, large enough to accommodate 2 people. If there is an enemy invasion, these windows can be used for observation, archery, or even throwing objects without any problem. Moreover, the second floor has a large warehouse, located behind the camp's supply station room, where all materials from the southern mine have been transported. In the future, distribution of cold beast meat will also take place here. Having introduced the second floor, Mu Dong then led everyone to the third floor. The height of the third floor is the same as the first 3 meters, but the layout is different. Being the highest, it is relatively the safest, so a 3-meter wide outer corridor has been left on all sides. The rooms inside are relatively large, with a side length of 20 meters, totaling only 100 rooms. The largest room has been reserved behind the central hall, 30 meters wide. Leader, would you like to go in and see? Xia Hong slightly raised his eyebrows, glanced at Mu Dong and nodded. Obviously, this largest room was reserved for him as the leader. Mu Dong walked to the back of the central hall and pushed open a large door. Xia Hong followed inside, with Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, Zhao Long and many others, curious to see the spectacle also following in. A 30-meter wide room certainly wouldn't contain just one space. What Xia Hong saw upon entering was a hall of over 100 square meters. All around the hall, more than 20 wooden racks were arranged, each holding iron basins, all lit, illuminating the entire hall brightly. In the center of the hall were 17 wooden chairs, with the one on the north being his custom-made seat. 8 more ordinary ones were placed on both east and west sides, with beast fur cushions on them, evidently also custom-made. At the back of the hall stood 2 large wooden screens, 3 to 4 meters long, carved with 3 types of cold beasts. Behind the screens was the bedroom, featuring a large 2-meter wooden bed covered in beast fur, a large wooden tub filled with water, a 1-meter-long lounge chair, a wooden cabinet against the wall, and wooden smoke exhaust pipes densely lining the ceiling. The novelty and beauty of these objects dazzled not only others from the camp, but even Xia Hong himself. But soon, Xia Hong's brows furrowed as he turned to Mu Dong, asking with a slightly serious tone, "Is this all you've been tinkering with over the past 6 months?" Noticing Xia Hong's slightly stern expression, Mu Dong tensed up a bit and immediately explained with clasped hands, "Rest assured, leader, everything except those 24 iron basins in this room was made from wood, crafted over the past few days whenever I found time. When making large components, there were 37 extra kilograms of iron. Seeing no other use for it and without you asking, I privately asked Lord Xia Chuan to help make those 24 iron basins." Just as he did last time when making chairs and clothes for himself, Mu Dong once more invoked Xia Chuan's name. Watching the items filling the room, Xia Hong turned to Xia Chuan, who was smiling at him, and eventually said nothing. Mu Dong had made it clear that everything was made of wood, and the only iron items, those basins, were crafted from leftover iron, just 37 kilograms. Xia Hong had no aversion to comfort and enjoyment. It was a basic human pursuit. With the issue of the iron explained, he could accept everything before him. Currently, the wood stockpile at the Great Xia camp was overflowing, and the widespread use of wood products was not a difficult task. The products Mu Dong crafted for himself were just slightly ahead of time. It was only a matter of time before everyone in the camp would use these items. The other people in the wooden house looking at these objects were filled with both envy and anticipation, clearly realizing that soon they would be able to use such things themselves. After observing the entire room, Xia Hong didn't say anything further. He merely nodded and led everyone back to the council hall on the second floor. "Leader, can we move in tonight? Can we choose any floor or room to live in?" "No way, the leader must have already made the arrangements. The rooms on the third floor are so large, they're obviously reserved for the leader and several lords. People like us would be lucky to live on the first floor." Upon returning to the council hall, people in the camp couldn't contain themselves, eagerly asking questions about moving in, their impatience unmistakable. Having toured the entire structure of the wooden building, everyone seemed to have a rough idea in their hearts. Not to mention the third floor, with its massive spaces and the luxurious large room intentionally set aside, clearly prepared for the leader. Naturally, those living on the third floor would be the camp's most important members. The layout of the second floor was like that of the first, but with differences. The second floor had a reserved council hall, more space than the first floor, a warehouse, blacksmith room, martial arts training ground, camp supply station, among other facilities, clearly making it more functional than the first floor. Chapter 133. Chapter 114. New House, New Rules, New Starting Point 4-in-1 Mega Chapter /4. Living on the second floor is definitely more comfortable than the first. Seeing everyone's eyes fixed on the rooms on the second floor, knowing this was their main target to fight for, Xia Hong shook his head with a slight smile and gave Xia Chuan a look as a signal. After Mu Dong informed them yesterday that the wooden house was about to be completed, Xia Hong had already pulled Xia Chuan and several others aside to discuss the method of room allocation. Leaving aside the 100 rooms on the third floor for now, the combined rooms on the second and first floors total 640. It's naturally out of the question to let these people go in and live chaotically. With authorization given, Xia Chuan stepped forward. These rooms are considered one of the camp's resources, so how they are divided should naturally be announced by him, the camp supply officer. Everyone, the construction of the new house wasn't easy. The manpower, material resources, time, and the coal, iron, and wood spent were immense. You are not only members of Great Xia, but also more or less participants in the construction of the wooden house. Moving in is, of course, a rightful matter. Xia Chuan paused, then shifted his tone suddenly and said in a deep voice, "But it must be said that even among members of Great Xia, contributions to the camp vary. As for the leader, ever since leading the camp from the slope, our Great Xia's wood, crystal fruit, cold beast meat, medicine, coal, iron, and all the resources vital for the camp's survival, all originate from him, and he is willing to share them with us unconditionally. If it weren't for the leader, forget about reaching the logging realm or the earth-digging realm. The likelihood of survival for us would be very slim. Whether it's me or any of you here, saying that this life we have was given by the leader is not an exaggeration, wouldn't you agree?" Xia Hong stood at the back and raised his eyebrows slightly, listening to Xia Chuan's preamble. Objectively speaking, he felt that Xia Chuan's words were not unreasonable. But standing there listening to someone praise him to his face, he couldn't help but feel a bit different. Yes, right, without the leader, forget about breaking through to the logging realm. Back at the slope, I would have been killed by a wood puppet monster. I wouldn't be alive now. Xia Chuan is right. Without the leader, Luo Yuan, would have died at the hands of the wood puppet monster long ago, with no chance of breaking through to the earth-digging realm. Lord Xia Chuan speaks the truth. Without the leader, Shi Ping, would have died over by Tower Mountain long ago. It would have been impossible to live the current life. In fact, even slightly clever people knew Xia Chuan was laying the groundwork. But the thing is, what he said was indeed based on truth. The earliest people of Great Xia are a given. The people from Rojal Camp, without Xia Hong, would have been doomed by the wood puppet monster. The people from Deshi Camp, without Xia Hong, would have perished when Tower Mountain was destroyed. The families of Huang Zhao and De Chuan, their leader, had also benefited from Xia Hong, and the remaining average folk wouldn't be living the life they have now without relocating here. And the over 200 people who just relocated from Chenyi Camp, let's not mention, without Xia Hong's rescue efforts, they wouldn't have survived either. As Xia Chuan said, the current 1,095 people in the camp, without Xia Hong, their chances of survival were slim. Not to mention, after joining Great Xia, they don't have to do anything and they have beast skin skirts, crystal fruits, even cold beast meat, things they only dreamed of before. Survival, fulfillment, warmth, and even the opportunity to cultivate has now been achieved. Of the over 100 Logging Realm members and 5 Earth-Digging Realm members, which one would dare to say that it's not thanks to Xia Hong's benevolence that they are here today? The 1,000-plus people below at this moment unanimously agreed with Xia Chuan's words, and the continuous sounds lasted for over 10 minutes. If Xia Chuan hadn't gestured to stop, it might have gone on much longer. Good, it seems the leader's contributions are evident, and you are all thoughtful people. Since contributions vary in degree, the camp's resources and benefits should be allocated according to the size of contributions. More work, more gain. Less work, less gain. Everything should be distributed based on the amount of contribution. Today, on the occasion of the new house's completion and the opportunity to allocate rooms, I also want to discuss with you the new contribution value regulations just established by the leader. Please listen carefully. Realizing that Xia Chuan finally got to the point, everyone quickly raised their ears to listen carefully, as this concerned their future living in the camp. Firstly, what is the contribution value regulation? Simply put, apart from the leader, all those in the logging realm and above from the camp will have personal contribution value points at the camp supply station. These points are personally yours. You can spend points to order wooden items, clothing, hats, and various things from the craftsman workshop, or exchange them at the camp supply station for cold beast meat, beast skin, iron, coal, weapons. Xia Hong certainly wasn't listening. This contribution value rule was a concept he proposed last night, and then he discussed it with Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, and others. Simply put, those in the logging realm and above can bring back their gains from outside in the future, exchange them at the camp supply station for contribution points, and then use those points to exchange various wooden items, beast skin products, as well as cold beast meat, coal stone, and even iron ore and iron products with other institutions. The current Great Xia camp has just over 1,000 people. Overly complicated rules definitely wouldn't apply, but managing in a haphazard way like before is also not quite appropriate. So this new contribution value regulation can only be regarded as a simplified version for now. After Xia Chuan had roughly explained the new contribution value regulation, he added, Chapter 134. Chapter 114 New House, New Rules, New Beginning 4-in-1 Mega Chapter /5. This new regulation, generally speaking, currently targets only the camp members above the logging realm. In short, before reaching the logging realm, the ration of cold beast meat remains the same as before. Once breakthrough to the logging realm is achieved from then on, whether it's cold beast meat, wooden products, animal skin products, clothes, ironware, or weapons, everything must be purchased with contribution points. Doesn't this mean the higher the cultivation, the more exhausting it is for a person? If one hasn't broken through to the logging realm, they can instead do nothing and reap the benefits. After this statement, the ordinary people in the camp had no particular reaction, but many above the logging realm exhibited expressions of disbelief, with several clearly planning to voice their skepticism about this regulation. However, before they could speak, Xia Chuan had already added an explanation. Don't rush, let me finish. Firstly, those without contribution value can only enjoy the basic ration of cold beast meat and crystal fruit, and have no qualification to exchange for other wooden products, animal skin products, or ironware, let alone weapons. As soon as Xia Chuan finished this sentence, those who responded quickly immediately understood. It seemed to be just a difference in exchange qualification, but those who possess contribution value will clearly become the privileged class in the camp from now on. Wooden products, animal skin products, clothes, ironware, and even weapons will only be used by those of the privileged class in the future. Moreover, this new regulation is obviously still in its early stages. As the camp develops and grows, and resource varieties increase, the rights and resources enjoyed by this group of people will undoubtedly increase as well. Lord Xia Chuan, can you briefly describe the methods to obtain contribution points and the prices of some items at the camp supply station? Upon hearing this question, Xia Chuan's eyes lit up immediately, thinking to himself that someone finally asked the right question. He looked around and found that it was an old acquaintance who had asked. It was Hong Mu, the son of the previous De Chuan camp leader, Hong Gang. Xia Chuan smiled at him, and seeing everyone looking at him with curiosity, stopped being mysterious and directly spoke. All right, the hunting team is temporarily managed by the leader. I'll take the members of the logging team and collection team as an example. Going out once every night earns 1 contribution point. Bringing back 2,000 pounds of golden frost tree counts as 1 point. 4,000 pounds of red frost tree counts as 1 point. Bringing back crystal fruit, every 50 pounds counts as 1 point. Every blue frost grass stalk exchanged counts for 10 points. Discovering a new ice tree, each counts for 2 points. Discovering a new blue jade tree, each counts for 100 points. Discovering other new tree species will be rewarded according to the appraisal results at the time. Xia Chuan explained the way and quantity for members of the logging team and collection team to earn contribution points, and after giving everyone a moment to digest, continued. As for the camp supply station, the price of cold beast meat is 2 pounds per contribution point. Cold beast skin prices vary by tier, with fur for clothes exchanging at 20 points per meter, second tier skin at 10 points per meter, third tier at 5 points per meter. I'll stop here. Beast teeth, beast bones, coal, iron, and golden sore powder can be learned about later. Xia Chuan paused and added, but let me clarify in advance, the prices of supplies will change with the camp's reserve levels. If the camp's supplies increase, these items will naturally become cheaper, so everything depends on our joint efforts. At this point, most in the camp could basically understand. Essentially, they would scavenge raw material resources from the outside world, return to the camp to exchange them for contribution points, and then the camp would process these resources uniformly into finished products for which they would then use contribution points to exchange. 1 point of contribution equals 2 pounds of cold beast meat. A standard logging realm member goes out once a night for 1 point. With their logging capability, cutting down a 4 to 5,000 pound golden frost tree in one night is no problem. Converted, that's at least 3 contribution points earned in one night, equivalent to 6 pounds of cold beast meat, which is higher than the previous ration. Not just those in the logging team, but also the collection team, and indeed all logging realm members in the camp, began calculating in their minds, and without exception, according to the new rules, they could obtain 1 or 2 more pounds of cold beast meat every night on average than before. Consequently, almost everyone's face was full of joy. This was exactly as Xia Chuan had anticipated. When discussing the rules with Xia Hong, it was established based on this standard. The fastest way to get everyone in the camp to embrace the new regulations was to make them realize the benefits brought by the new rules are greater and better than before. As for this new contribution points regulation, the most crucial point is that the camp must have hard currency. Coal and iron are resources Xia Hong is currently in urgent need of and naturally won't be opened up, but cold beast meat can surely be used. Upon hearing the new regulations, the first thing people considered was the price of cold beast meat, enough to prove its uniqueness. Using it as a hard currency is most appropriate. Besides, it's also necessary to control the types of materials that can be exchanged and their unit prices because the supplies are limited. If the prices are set too low, they'll be exchanged for quickly, which would be problematic. These things were discussed by Xia Hong with Xia Chuan the previous night. Currently, the prices of various materials at the camp supply station, craftsman workshop, etc., were deliberated overnight and should be suitable for a period. If there are problems later, they can be adjusted without issue. Lord Xia Chuan, could you tell us approximately how many contribution points are needed to exchange for a set of clothes? Chapter 135. Chapter 114. New House, New Rules, New Beginning 4-in-1 Mega Chapter /6. Hong Mu once again asked the question he was most concerned about, but when he asked it, many people, including the hunting team, turned their heads to look. Obviously, he was not the only one who cared about this question. All right, let me explain. To make a complete outfit, you'll need approximately 4 meters of first layer beast fur, which equates to 80 contribution points. That's just for materials. After getting the materials, you'll need to go to the craftsman workshop for custom making. Mu Dong, why don't you explain? Seeing Xia Chuan turn his head towards him, Mu Dong also stepped forward and said with a smile to everyone, "Ladies and gentlemen, the price for custom-made clothes at my place isn't low. A full set of adult clothing including inner and outer wear, a hat, long pants, and a coat is a total of 4 pieces. The prices based on materials and craftsmanship are 20, 10, 15, and 30, totaling 75. The raw materials are 80, and the custom making is 75, which adds up to a total of 155. This price immediately made quite a few people click their tongues. Calculating based on the usual way of gaining contribution points in the logging realm, without any surprises, one can earn only 3 to 4 points per evening, which means, even if you don't exchange a single pound of cold beast meat, you'd still need approximately 2 months to exchange for a complete outfit. Is it possible not to exchange a single pound of cold beast meat? Anyone who has enjoyed the process of basic strength enhancement cannot resist the temptation of increased power. Moreover, being born in the ice abyss, everyone knows the importance of strength. Not exchanging for cold beast meat is impossible. All right, we're finished discussing the new regulation. Now let's talk about the housing distribution. Xia Chuan turned to glance at Xia Hong, and after getting a nod, he continued to speak. The reason we talked about the new contribution value regulation just now was to prepare for the housing distribution. Considering the total population of Great Xia is 1096, with many of you having families and children, we'll first allocate to those with families. Upon hearing this, many people in the camp immediately showed smiles on their faces. In every family, as long as one person has contribution value, you can pick a room on the second floor. Those without contribution value should pick on the first floor. Partners and direct family members can live together. Unmarried individuals will live separately by gender, with each room accommodating 10 people according to their numbers. Those with contribution value can live on the second floor, while those without will stay on the first floor. I'll be in charge of the detailed sorting, and I'll announce it later. Additionally, members of the hunting team may pick a room on the third floor. People weren't surprised at the general result of this housing allocation. According to what Xia Chuan said earlier, those with contribution value are members at or above the logging realm level and will reside on the second and third floors. Those without contribution value are ordinary people and will only reside on the first floor. What they didn't expect was the allocation based on family units. This means as long as one family member is in the logging realm, they can live together on the second floor. Wait, it's not just the second floor. Xia Chuan just mentioned those without contribution value aren't eligible to exchange for supplies, but didn't say they can't use those supplies. As long as a family member is in the logging realm, they can exchange the supplies, and their family can use them too. The benefits of being part of a family became immediately apparent at this moment. A few single men and women in attendance suddenly found their thoughts becoming restless. Noticing the change in expression among these single men and women, Xia Hong, standing above, couldn't help but feel somewhat pleased. His design for contribution value and housing distribution was intentionally aimed at encouraging single individuals in the camp to hurry up and form families. The difficulty of exploring the outside world is indeed immense. Around Redwood Ridge, only Lu Shang Camp remains unincorporated. Once they merge, it's foreseeable that Great Xia may not be able to absorb much of the population for quite some time. Given such a situation, the only way to increase the population is through childbirth. Currently, there are only about 300 women in the camp, and a small portion of them are children. The gender ratio is extremely unhealthy, making it even more unsuitable for those of marriageable age to remain single. The living conditions in the camp have improved a lot, food is no longer scarce, and cold weather is not an issue either. With these new regulations, it's foreseeable that more small families living together will emerge, and people's willingness to have children will surely increase incrementally. Xia Chuan systematically began arranging the distribution of new housing, and all members of the camp began joyously moving to their new homes. Even though it was night, the enthusiasm for moving to new houses was high. The new wooden houses were brightly lit, and almost everyone's face was filled with smiles. Immersed in this light-hearted and lively atmosphere for a while, Xia Hong finally carried the cold beast meat by himself up to the third floor and returned to his small room. The rodent swarm is still around, meaning the crisis hasn't passed yet. Whether we can defend this building is still uncertain. I don't have much time to waste. Xia Hong thought to himself, took a deep breath, positioned himself, and began practicing boxing in the wooden house, constantly absorbing the energy accumulated in his body. Chapter 136, Chapter 115, New Earth Digging Realm Enhancing Mining Efficiency 3-in-1. Clang, clang, clang. On the third day of moving into the new residence, on the second floor in the blacksmith room, Xia Hong, bare-chested, continuously hammered a massive piece of iron before him. On both sides of the massive iron, it was in a half-fan shape with a radius of about 75 centimeters. In the middle was a round iron piece, roughly 10 centimeters thick by sight, with the sides hammered very thin. One look and you could tell they were blades. Below the furnace, there was also a 2-meter-long black iron rod. The head of the rod had a groove, clearly fitting the middle part of the massive iron being hammered. Xia Chuan, leading Yuan Cheng, hurriedly walked over. Seeing the massive iron already taking shape on the furnace, a glint of excitement flashed in both their eyes. Seeing Xia Hong still hammering away, the two did not disturb him and just stood waiting. Hiss! Only when Xia Hong finished hammering, plunging the massive iron into the prepared water beside him, releasing a burst of white steam, did Xia Chuan approach and start speaking. Big brother, everything is arranged. The camp's current total population is 1,096. Adults over 15 number 642, those aged 6 to 15, 322, and under 6, 132. Divided by family units, only 182 households have been allocated houses, making up about 70% of the total population, approximately 702 people. Of these, 7 households on the third floor, 92 on the second, and 83 on the first, leaving 394 people, 293 adults, and 101 minors. Among the adults, 204 are male, 89 female. Not many are from the logging realm, with only 16 people, 12 men and 4 women, all placed in 10-person rooms on the second floor. The rest are all assigned to 10-person rooms on the first floor. The minors, as you instructed, include 52 children under 6 who have no self-care ability and are all assigned to logging realm families for adoption. Those over 6 number 49, with some self-care ability. Those willing to be adopted are arranged as such. Those unwilling are all placed in 10-person rooms on the first floor to live together. The current overall situation is that, besides your room on the third floor, a total of 8 rooms have been allocated, 7 singles and 1 5-person room, with 92 rooms remaining. On the second floor, 95 rooms have been allocated, including 92 singles and 3 10-person rooms, with 185 remaining. On the first floor, 111 rooms have been allocated, including 83 singles and 28 10-person rooms, with 249 remaining. Although Xia Hong was focused on grinding the massive iron in his hands, he listened to Xia Chuan's words word for word. Hearing Xia Chuan reporting the numbers one by one in an orderly manner, a trace of approval emerged in Xia Hong's eyes. It was easy to recite these numbers, but coming up with them definitely required spending a lot of time conducting detailed investigations. With the system, he's always had a sense of the camp's total population, but understanding the population structure, the number of adults and minors, still depended on Xia Chuan leading people to distinguish and categorize them. What's your estimate? How many people can this wooden house accommodate at most? Xia Hong suddenly asked. Hearing the question, Xia Chuan pondered for a moment before giving an answer straight away. Currently, the camp rooms we've allocated are less than 1/3. Based on the space used so far, this wooden house can accommodate a population of at least 5,000 under normal circumstances. If we squeeze in, it could even double without a problem. If we really squeeze, it could accommodate 40 to 50,000. It would just be very cramped and uncomfortable. Before the rodent problem is resolved, barring any unforeseen circumstances, the Great Xia Camp's population shouldn't see a major surge for a long time. The current wooden house is already sufficient for their needs for a long time. Even though the emergence of the rodent issue made the significance of the new residents less than initially anticipated, having been prepared for half a year, with its completion now fully realized, Xia Hong still breathed a sigh of relief. If the rodent problem can't be stopped, it should at least offer protection against other cold beasts. The new contribution system has also been formally implemented. All members above the logging realm in the camp have been documented and registered. The camp supply station has increased its staff to 10 people, with someone specifically in charge of recording everyone's contribution points daily. From tonight, those above the logging realm wanting cold beast meat or other supplies will have to exchange them with contribution points. Hearing the formal implementation of the contribution system, a smile appeared on Xia Hong's face as he asked, "Have you calculated whether the consumption of cold beast meat in the camp is higher or lower than before after the implementation of the new system?" Xia Chuan clearly had thought about this question and answered with a smile. Logically, it should be more, but judging by the situation over the past couple of days, it should be less. The previous logging realm quota was 5 pounds daily. According to the new system, as long as they aren't lazy, earning 3 contribution points per day is quite easy, converting to about 6 pounds per day. Cold beast meat is readily available for them to redeem. According to the usual calculations, the camp's overall consumption should definitely be higher than before. But Xia Hong immediately understood Xia Chuan's reasoning. These past couple of days, many people have been asking Mu Dong about the customization prices for various wooden and iron products, as well as clothing in the craftsman workshop. I've noticed that these are almost all families, with a high demand for various items. I heard Luo Yuan's partner at home is pushing him to buy a ready-made garment. When we heard that, we couldn't stop laughing. Hadiohata. Hearing Luo Yuan's embarrassing situation, Xia Hong burst into laughter. Women naturally have no resistance to clothing. It's not that they are vain, it's mainly because the camp now has the conditions. The new contribution system was meant to provide them a normal channel to enjoy these resources by contributing to the camp. Chapter 137, Chapter 115, New Earth Digging Realm, Enhance Mining Efficiency 3-in-1/2. Since contributions vary, the emergence of hierarchy and comparison is inevitable. Using this method to encourage them to contribute more to the camp was the original intention of this system. However, they must understand that power is fundamental. Without sufficient strength, no matter how well they dress, eat, or live, it is all just an illusion, like drawing water with a bamboo basket futile. Hearing Xia Hong speak in a slightly serious tone, Xia Chuan fully agreed and said, "Of course, as I see it, the current situation is just because the new regulations have just been implemented. Many people are just feeling a novelty. In a few days, they should come around and understand this principle." Xia Hong nodded. The cruelty of the ice abyss world is understood not just by him. Even the children under 6 years old in the camp know the importance of strength, let alone Luo Yuan. As Xia Chuan said, the current enthusiasm is just a phase of novelty. Once this period passes, they will naturally understand what is most important. "Leader, is this giant axe a new weapon you crafted?" While speaking earlier, Xia Hong's hands had not been idle. Seeing him embed the polished fan-shaped giant iron piece onto the 2-meter-long black iron rod nearby, Yuan Cheng, who had been watching intently for a long time, couldn't help but ask. A 2-meter-long double-edged giant axe appeared in Xia Hong's hands, with 10 silver forging patterns clearly visible on the axe head. The edges of the axe blades faintly emitted a silver cold light, already sharpened. Whoosh! Xia Hong lifted the giant axe and casually swung it in front of him. Instantly, a gust of wind arose, even moving him several steps, showing the weight of the giant axe. Seeing Yuan Cheng's undisguised fondness for the giant axe in his eyes, Xia Hong chuckled lightly and teased, "What, do you like it?" Yuan Cheng instinctively wanted to nod. He indeed had a preference for heavy weapons. However, considering how massive this giant axe was and the many iron ores it must have consumed, and knowing that Xia Hong personally crafted it, it must have significant use. So, he shook his head instead. Xia Hong could see through his thoughts and laughed, saying, "Even if you like it, I can't give it to you now. I have great use for it. Besides, even if I gave it to you now with your strength, you wouldn't be able to wield it." Upon hearing this, Xia Chuan was stunned, showing a peculiar expression. Yuan Cheng also had an odd expression, chuckling as he said, "Leader, don't underestimate me. How about letting me try?" "Oh, he even has a temper now." Xia Hong couldn't help but want to tease Yuan Cheng, so he nodded, handed the giant axe over with a smile. Yuan Cheng reached out and took the axe handle. The moment Xia Hong let go, Yuan Cheng immediately stumbled forward, lurched a meter or two ahead before finally steadying himself. When he looked up, his flushed face was full of astonishment. "Leader, this giant axe is too heavy, isn't it?" "Ha ha ha, 2,800 pounds. How about it, can you wield it?" Hearing Xia Hong's teasing, Yuan Cheng showed a look of defiance. He then stood firm, took a deep breath, and surprisingly swung the giant axe a dozen times with gritted teeth. Thud! After Yuan Cheng's arms gave out, placing the giant axe on the ground, Xia Hong was completely stunned. When Yuan Cheng stumbled upon receiving the axe, it wasn't that he couldn't lift it, he was just careless. He hadn't expected the giant axe to be so heavy. Xia Hong knew this too. In the logging realm, the basic strength was 5,000 pounds. The giant axe weighed 2,800 pounds, so lifting it shouldn't be a problem. But lifting and wielding are two different things entirely. The weight of a weapon is closely related to the user's basic strength. If a weapon is too light, it won't carry enough momentum, significantly reducing its lethality. Moreover, the user might be too strong, risking breakage. If it's too heavy, it burdens the user a lot, affecting speed and flexibility, and in severe cases can cause exhaustion, making combat very dangerous. Before, Xia Hong tested that for normal weapon use, the weight should ideally be controlled at 1/10 of one's basic strength. The giant axe he crafted was basically designed at the strength limit of the earth-digging realm. Even Xia Hong found it challenging to use. Continuously swinging it a dozen times wouldn't be possible without over 10,000 pounds of strength. This thought crossed Xia Hong's mind. When he saw the smile on Xia Chuan's face, he immediately realized something and sharply turned to ask Yuan Cheng, "Well, kid, did you break through?" "Leader, I intended to tell you when I arrived, but I didn't get the chance." "Ha ha ha, well, you gave me quite a surprise." Feeling elated, Xia Hong, recalling Yuan Cheng's eager look at the giant axe earlier, was filled with a grandiose spirit and said aloud, "When your strength surpasses 25,000 pounds, this giant axe will be yours." Upon hearing Xia Hong's words, Yuan Cheng's pupils burst with joy, and he became extremely excited, bowing deeply to Xia Hong. "Thank you, leader. Yuan Cheng will definitely train diligently in the future." The seventh to reach the earth-digging realm turned out to be Yuan Cheng. This indeed greatly exceeded Xia Hong's expectation. At the inception of the hunting team, the strength of the 8 initial members from Rojal camp was undoubtedly superior to others. Subsequently, Luo Yuan and the Zhao brothers first broke through to the earth-digging realm, also verifying this. As for Xia Chuan, he only rose because he gained the wood puppet Gik inheritance, allowing him to stand out before Luo Yuan, but not Yuan Cheng. Xia Hong initially expected the next breakthroughs to come from members of the original Rojal camp. Unexpectedly, Yuan Cheng managed to surpass them. Chapter 138, Chapter 115, New Earth Digging Realm, Enhanced Mining Efficiency 3 in 1/3. Big brother, this giant axe is for hunting the Teng Jiao, right? Seeing Xia Chuan guess the purpose of the giant axe in an instant, Xia Hong didn't hide it and nodded lightly. The Teng Jiao we saw last time was over 30 meters long and had a waist as thick as 60 to 70 centimeters, larger than the biggest golden-eyed demon sheep we had encountered before. Furthermore, because its body is so long and the trees in Redwood Ridge are large enough, the Teng Jiao can coil and move on the trees. Despite its massive size, it is incredibly agile. The most crucial aspect is that poisonous fog. Due to the poison fog, the time to hunt down the Teng Jiao is at most half an hour. If it can't be killed within half an hour, we must retreat. If we consider situations where we fail the hunt and get chased, the time is even less. The larger the size, the stronger the vitality. High agility makes it difficult to pursue. The hunting time must be very short. Considering these 3 characteristics together, to successfully hunt the Teng Jiao, you can't drag it out. You must inflict the greatest damage in the shortest time. The knives and bows used in the camp right now are clearly a bit inadequate. Even the big knives are too light and small, not to mention the bows and arrows. Even with pure iron arrows, they'd probably just scratch the Teng Jiao. Let's see if this giant axe can be effective. Xia Hong spoke while picking up the big knife next to the furnace, the very shock frost saber he had previously crafted himself. The shock frost saber, including the blade and handle, is 1.5 meters long, and the back of the blade alone is 12 centimeters thick, weighing 620 pounds. If someone who doesn't know better heard Xia Hong say, too light and small, they'd probably think he was out of his mind. But the truth is, it actually is so. Too light and small, depending on who you're comparing it with. Compared to the snowmane, frost wolf, and demon sheep, the big knife certainly isn't small or light, but in front of the Teng Jiao, that description is absolutely fitting. Seeing the shock frost saber, Yuan Cheng's eyes lit up. During this period, Xia Hong hadn't crafted any new weapons. The camp currently still only has 5 big knives. The shock frost saber is naturally in Xia Hong's hand. The other 4 were initially in the hands of him, Luo Yuan, Zhao Long, and Hong Gang. But as Zhao Hu and Zhao Bao broke through to the earth-digging realm, the 2 big knives in his and Hong Gang's hands naturally went to those 2. If Yuan Cheng hadn't had one initially, he wouldn't be so eager, but having it and then losing it, that's tough. Part of why he had been trying hard to break through to the earth-digging realm was to regain the use right of the big knife. Originally, he wanted to take back the previous big knife, but seeing the shock frost inside Xia Hong's hand, Yuan Cheng immediately shifted his goal. This saber was crafted personally by Xia Hong, and he had used it for some time. Not to mention, it's the first weapon of the Daxia camp, holding significant meaning, much more precious than the original one. If I could use it, that would be just. Noticing the desire all over Yuan Cheng's face long ago, Xia Hong deliberately twirled the big knife a few times to tease him. Seeing Yuan Cheng's gaze fixed on the moving knife, he laughed several times and directly tossed the shock frost saber to him. All right, I know you want it. You can use this big knife first. I'll be using the giant axe for the time being. Yuan Cheng caught the shock frost saber, joy spreading across his face, but after thinking for a moment, he quickly looked up with a trace of hesitation and handed the saber back. Leader, you just crafted this giant axe and you might not be familiar with it yet. How about you use the shock frost saber first, and when you get used to the giant axe, I'll use this big knife. Xia Hong raised his eyebrows slightly, shook his head, and didn't take the knife. Don't worry about me, you both come with me to the mine. After speaking, Xia Hong pulled out a long sheep horn chisel from behind the furnace, leading the 2 directly downstairs, heading towards the southern mine. The supplies in the mine have all been moved to the warehouse on the second floor of the wooden house, making it much more spacious now. Clang, clang, clang. As the three walked in less than 5 or 6 meters, they heard rhythmic chiseling sounds inside, along with the idle chatter of Luo Yuan and the other four. Luo Yuan, how heavy is your piece? Should be over 60 pounds. So much, my last piece was just over 40 pounds. One piece that's 60 pounds, that's a profit. 6 contribution values can be exchanged for 12 pounds of cold beast meat. If we get another piece today, we can get over 20 pounds of cold beast meat. I can't exchange everything for cold beast meat. My house doesn't have any furniture right now and the wife is complaining. The full set, including a wooden bed, wooden barrel, chairs, and other items, requires 75 contribution points. I've got to save up for a while and exchange them all together later. Yeah, my wife too took the kids to the craftsman workshop to see the wooden bed and came back immediately demanding it. It requires 25 contribution points. I need to dig for 2 or 3 days to exchange for one. It's expensive but comfortable. That wooden bed comes with a beast skin mat. It's so soft to lie on, much more comfortable than sleeping on the ground. Not to mention women and kids, even I wanted it after I tried it. The logging team, the collection team, the craftsman workshop, and the camp supply station all have their own channels for earning contribution values. Only our hunting team doesn't have one yet. The leader didn't mention when it would be announced. The logging team gets 1 point per outing. Shouldn't we get at least 2 points? Definitely higher than theirs, but we don't know the specific distribution yet. The leader will probably allocate based on each person's contribution. We'll know then. Chapter 139. Chapter 115. New Earth Digging Realm, Enhanced Mining Efficiency 3 in 1/4. I'm just waiting for the leader to announce it so I can hurry out to hunt and earn contribution points. Every day when I come home, the wife and kids just keep telling me they're missing this or that. It's annoying. There's no other way. Cold beast meat certainly can't run out. If you want to exchange for those things, you just have to earn more contribution points. Hahaha, there truly are a lot of things in the craftsman workshop. Mu Dong somehow figured out how to make them. Women and kids can't stop looking, always coming back to trouble us. Hearing the content of the four's conversation, Xia Hong couldn't help but chuckle a few times. It's funny, among the 7 people in the earth-digging realm in the camp right now, only he, Xia Chuan, and Yuan Cheng aren't married yet. Luo Yuan and the 3 Zhao brothers all already have wives and kids. Besides Luo Yuan having an only child, Zhao Hu and Zhao Bao each have 2 sons, and the eldest Zhao Long is even more exaggerated, with his wife giving birth to 3 sons and a daughter. Together with the new contribution value regulations, is the official division of households in the camp on a family basis. Accompanied by various wooden products, leather goods, and custom tools launched by the craftsman workshop, and the exchange of supplies at the camp supply station, these families have a huge demand for contribution values. Because of the current scarcity of resources and the tight supply of craftsmen, the prices of various items are still set very high. Even for Luo Yuan and the 4 Zhao brothers, it's a bit strenuous to exchange for them, let alone other families in the logging realm. But as resources become more abundant and craftsmen increase, the prices of these materials will surely also gradually decrease. The time when everyone can use them will come sooner or later. Leader, you've arrived. Greetings, leader. Upon seeing Xia Hong come in, Luo Yuan and the 4 others hurriedly stopped their conversation, put down the sheep horn chisel, and bowed to him. Xia Hong nodded slightly, took out the sheep horn chisel in his hand, walked to a spot on the rock wall that hadn't been mined and began to dig. Ding! As soon as the first strike was made, Luo Yuan and the 4 others, along with Xia Chuan and Yuan Cheng who followed Xia Hong in, were immediately taken aback, and then all 6 of their gazes focused on the sheep horn chisel in Xia Hong's hand. Why does the chisel give off such a crisp sound when mining? That chisel isn't made of iron. It's really not, it's white, isn't it? It's the teeth of a rodent. Sharp-eyed Xia Chuan was the first to notice. The other 5 reacted immediately. The body of the sheep horn chisel in Xia Hong's hand is still made of iron, but the head is surprisingly made from the rodent teeth brought back earlier. Dings, dings, ding. Without disturbing Xia Hong, the 6 of them continued watching and noticed that Xia Hong had only chiseled over 100 times before the iron ore on the rock wall started to wobble. Their faces immediately broke into wide grins. Clang! Half an hour later, as the piece of iron ore fell to the ground, Xia Hong breathed a huge sigh of relief and released the sheep horn chisel in his hand. Leader, can this rodent tooth be used for mining? With an ordinary iron pick, it takes us at least 2 hours to mine one piece. Using this iron tooth, efficiency is directly doubled. After catching his breath for a while, Xia Hong picked up the iron ore on the ground, his face filled with joy. Previously, when fighting with rodents, he noticed that the hardness of their teeth was even harder than iron, and he already thought they could be used for mining. But he didn't expect the results to be so good. It doubled the rate. A single earth-digging realm could mine up to 400 pounds of iron ore in one day. If it were coal, it could reach 800 pounds. Leader, can this rodent tooth be made into a weapon? Too light definitely won't work as a weapon, and the bones of cold beasts are brittle, cannot be shaped at all. Once the tip wears down, it's permanent. At best they can be used as disposable bone tools. Only used for mining brings the greatest gain. Before Xia Hong could respond, Xia Chuan immediately answered Luo Yuan's question. Xia Hong also nodded. Up to now, the various types of cold beast bones they've encountered can only be used as disposable bone tools, or ground into bone powder for medicinal purposes. They haven't run into anything that can be smelted like iron. A rodent has 2 chewing teeth. It takes 4 to make one chisel. We previously killed 4 rodents, enough to make another one. In the future, the camp will use these chewing teeth chisels for coal and iron mining. Upon hearing this, Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, and the other 4's eyes lit up. With a sheep horn chisel, you can only mine about 100 pounds of iron ore at most in a day. Converting into contribution points is 10. But using this chewing teeth chisel, that can be 40 contribution points in a day. Right now, there are only 2. You all take turns using them. Once more long-tailed rodents are killed, make more and it'll be good. Xia Hong naturally understood what they were thinking. After speaking, while looking at the iron ore in his hand, Xia Hong let out a slight sigh. Unfortunately, the logging realm still can't participate in mining. Although the chewing teeth chisel can enhance mining efficiency, it still cannot mitigate the rebound force from the ore. In other words, without basic strength exceeding 10,000 pounds, one still cannot endure the rebound force during chiseling, and naturally cannot mine. Xia Hong slightly shook his head. He had always been trying to find a way to let the logging realm participate in mining. Is it the material rules? No wonder it's called the earth-digging realm. As long as you haven't reached this cultivation realm, you can't extract underground resources. At this moment, his hope for that idea was extinguished completely. Since you 6 are all here, prepare yourselves. Tomorrow night after dark, follow me to the inner region of Redwood Ridge to hunt the dragon. At these words, the 6 people's expressions immediately brightened. Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan had both seen Teng Jiao. Although its appearance is intimidating, they had some understanding of its strength, so their faces were not filled with fear, but rather with eager excitement. As for Zhao Long and his 2 brothers, as well as Yuan Cheng, they belonged to the fearless out of ignorance group. They were not only curious about this new species, Teng Jiao, but also about the inner region beyond 500 meters of Redwood Ridge that they had never ventured into. Chapter 140, Chapter 116, Great Justice Hunting Jiao, Saliva 5-in-1 Mega Chapter. The long-tailed rodent, with its tail removed, is no more than a meter long. Its small size naturally means its meat yield is not high, with an average yield of less than 300 jins per rodent. Previously, a total of 4 rodents were harvested, totaling just over 1,000 jins of meat. The slowing pace of strength enhancement is due to the immunity against the meat of the previous 3 types of cold beasts. Having confirmed this point, Xia Hong decided to save this over 1,000 jins of rodent meat for himself. The problem, however, is that his daily consumption limit has now shockingly reached over 50 jins. Even if all the meat were reserved for himself, it would last less than 20 days. Most importantly, after inquiry, he learned that both Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan were also experiencing a slowdown in the rate of strength enhancement. Though the decline is currently not significant, based on Xia Hong's own experience, once such a sign appears, it tends to accelerate quickly, so it won't be long before there's a shortage of new variety cold beast meat. Firstly, training is the top priority, and improving strength definitely can't stop. Secondly, there's concern about the rodent group. Since the normal method can't solve the rodent group on the north slope of the mountain wall, Xia Hong has to think of other ways. Teng Jiao's properties are oppositional to rodents, so seeking solutions from Teng Jiao is undoubtedly more reasonable. Lastly, compared to the rodent group and other unseen cold beasts, the strength of cloud mist Teng Jiao is at least not as overwhelming, within an acceptable range. On the second day, as night fell, Yuan Cheng enthusiastically packed away the shock frost saber and acquired a bow and a quiver of iron arrows from the camp supply station. He proceeded to the log cabin entrance for assembly. The leader is so strong. That massive axe must weigh at least 1,000 jins, right? 1,000 jins? Are you kidding? Even a big saber weighs 700 to 800 jins. This massive axe is huge. It must be at least over 2,000 jins. Hiss, over 2,000 jins, the leader's strength is incredible. You don't say, the leader is the strongest in Great Xia. Just stepping out of the cabin, Yuan Cheng found a large crowd gathered at the entrance. Hearing the exclamations from the crowd, he immediately curiously squeezed in. Bang, bangs, bang. At the log cabin's main entrance, Xia Hong gripped the massive axe with both hands, his eyes like lightning, moving his body deftly while swinging it rapidly. The two semicircular axe blades cut circular horizontal edges in the air. With chops, slashes, sweeps, smashes, and even upward thrusts, Xia Hong performed various movements effortlessly, as if the 2,800 jin massive axe was light as air in his hands. When wielding a regular large saber, the strong edge slicing through air creates whoosh sounds. However, as Xia Hong swung the massive axe, it produced booming sounds, with its powerful momentum scattering the accumulated snow around him, leaving a bare surface within a radius of 5 to 6 meters, demonstrating his formidable might. Bang! Xia Hong's burly frame and the massive axe seemed to merge into one as he leapt into the air and powerfully cleaved downwards, creating a loud boom and splitting a half-meter deep wide trench into the ground. This swing changed the expressions of the closest onlookers. They clearly felt the tremor in the ground. At this moment, Yuan Cheng finally understood why Xia Hong had a strange look on his face yesterday when he worried about Xia Hong's ability to wield the massive axe. The leader wielding the massive axe looked even more skilled than Yuan Cheng using his saber. No, not just more skilled than him, but more skilled than anyone in the camp wielding a saber. The leader can master anything instinctively, surely a reincarnation of a deity. At this moment, not only Yuan Cheng, but also Luo Yuan, the Zhao brothers, and even Xia Chuan were compelled to think this, let alone the other camp members. Xia Hong, of course, was unaware of these thoughts in their minds. But from their eyes, he could roughly guess. Xia Hong chuckled lightly twice, but didn't explain. There's nothing like instinctive mastery in this world. Even if there is, it wouldn't be him. The 4 routines of the Grand Ancestor Long Fist were originally designed to be used with various cold weapons, and combined with his previous life's extensive background in weaponry, his adaptation speed was so quick. His basic strength had already reached over 20,000, towering over the entire camp. Wielding such a heavy, massive axe, the resulting momentum was naturally exaggerated, plus he carried an aura. It's normal for them to have these thoughts. Xia Hong, holding the axe in both hands, initially planned to practice more, but seeing more people gather around, he frowned slightly and shouldered the axe, then turned to face Xia Chuan at the front of the crowd, asking, "Is everyone here?" From within the crowd, Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, the Zhao brothers, and the just-arrived Yuan Cheng, totaling 6, immediately stepped forward. All 6 were neatly attired, their expressions solemn, each holding a large saber, carrying a bow and arrows, with a large leather bag strapped at their waists. "Let's set out. Tonight's hunt will be just the 7 of us. The rest of the hunting team is responsible for patrolling the outer perimeter, coordinating to protect the collection team and the logging team, and standing by to support us as needed." "Yes, leader." After the 6 answered loudly, the remaining 9 members of the hunting team also immediately stood out. Although some looked a bit dejected for not being able to follow Xia Hong's group of 7, they quickly adjusted their mindset and responded in unison. "Yes, leader." Seeing everyone ready, Xia Hong led the 15 out directly. The collection team and the logging team had already headed out earlier. Once entering Redwood Ridge with the 15, Xia Hong had the additional 8 dispersed to patrol the designated regions, while he led the group of 7 deeper. Chapter 141, Chapter 116, Great Righteousness, Hunting Flood Dragons, Saliva 5-in-1 Mega Chapter /2. After passing the 500-meter perimeter, Xia Hong did not immediately lead everyone to start searching for the cloud mist Tengjiao, but first found the blue jade trees discovered last time. During the last entry, a total of 2 blue jade trees were found. The area around both trees was empty, not to mention sprouting new blue frost grass. Even seedlings had not emerged yet. The blue jade tree first discovered by Cheng Feng has been almost 3 months since the first harvest. According to him, it has just sprouted. Given the current growth rate, the new batch may need another 4 months, meaning the growth cycle of blue frost grass is at least 7 to 8 months. Xia Hong thought for a moment, then slightly shook his head. An 8-month growth cycle is indeed long. However, thinking of the extraordinary healing effects of the golden soar powder, Xia Hong was relieved. Even though there are only 3 trees now, the amount of golden soar powder produced is roughly sufficient. We just need to discover a few more later. Leader over there, isn't that the territory of the cloud mist Tengjiao? While Xia Hong was focusing on the blue frost grass, the other 6 members, especially Yuan Cheng among them, were becoming noticeably impatient. The 500-meter range is actually not large, with the cloud mist zone caused by the cloud mist Tengjiao being roughly 50 meters in radius. In reality, as soon as they crossed the 500-meter boundary, the group had already seen 3 cloud mist zones nearby. But Xia Hong did not take them there. Instead, he chose to bypass 2 of the cloud mist zones, finding 2 blue jade trees. Now finally reaching the 3rd cloud mist zone, upon chatting with Xia Chuan and learning that it was the territory of the cloud mist Tengjiao, Yuan Cheng couldn't help but ask. "Don't worry, you'll have your chance to fight soon." Signaling Yuan Cheng to be patient, Xia Hong did not leave but instead took a piece of leather from his bosom, wrapped a ball of snow in it, and then placed it in his bosom. The others, seeing this, immediately straightened their expressions and followed suit. Before we start, I'll emphasize the 3 points once again. First, the cloud mist Tengjiao is very large, has a strong sense of awareness, and moves very quickly, so even if you move a little slower after entering the cloud mist zone, you must be extra careful. Do not alert it before attacking it. Second, when you enter, it is likely coiled around a tree. To strike first, you must climb the tree and use arrows. The cloud mist Tengjiao's defense isn't strong, and specially made iron arrows can pierce it, but due to its large size, arrows alone won't be enough to kill it. So after the first round of attacks, everyone must immediately come down and fight it together. Third, and most crucially, our hunt time is only 20 minutes. Once 20 minutes have passed, regardless of success or failure, everyone must withdraw immediately and cannot linger. Despite having said it several times already, Xia Hong's tone remained very serious. After speaking, he scanned everyone with his eyes and continued. As for the contribution value acquisition method for the hunting team, I've only mentioned one so far, which is that going out each night earns 2 points. Now, I'll tell you the second way. Upon hearing this, the 6 immediately perked up their ears and listened carefully. It's based on the type of prey. Currently, the camp can deal with 5 types of prey, divided into 5 levels of difficulty. Long-tailed rodent 200 points, bone spur frost wolf 240 points, long-tongued snow mane 280 points, golden-eyed demon sheep 350 points, and cloud mist Tengjiao the highest at 380 points. After Xia Hong stated the conversion of contribution value for the 5 types of prey, he did not continue speaking, but silently observed the reactions of the 5 others besides Xia Chuan. Judging solely by cold beast meat, this contribution point pricing is clearly unreasonable. The rodent is fine, as a single one yields just 200 to 300 pounds of meat. Considering the conversion of beast skin and bones, the overflow isn't too much. But snow mane, frost wolf, and demon sheep are different. These 3 types of prey, each adult yielding over 1,000 pounds of meat. At the current camp rate of 1 contribution point for 2 pounds of cold beast, these 3 types of prey, just the meat alone, should be worth at least 500 points. Not to mention, there are also the beast skins and bones. Even accounting for the camp needing to assign personnel to process the prey and other associated management fees, it's clear that the hunters are still at a loss. But it depends on what these people think. The fixed housing, safety, food and heating, weapons and tools provided by the camp, even Xia Hong's initial investment, all these are hidden costs. Once you factor these in, the hunters surely aren't at a loss. In fact, not only the hunting team, but also the logging team and collection team, have noticeable losses in their contribution value acquisition rules, meaning the contribution points received from handing in provisions to the camp are insufficient to reclaim the full value of what they submitted. To put it bluntly, the contribution value system itself is a means of levying a tax on everyone, depending on whether you think the tax is worth paying. In the camp, anyone with any sense has already figured it out. Fortunately, in recent days, the feedback received occasionally suggests that everyone is quite satisfied, likely because Xia Hong's contributions and the camp's recent prosperity are evident. However, that's the response of the logging team, collection team, and ordinary people. This group at most reaching the logging realm does not have hunting abilities. What they care most about is cold beast meat. Currently, the camp's supply station has set the price of cold beast meat within their acceptable range, which is why it is widely approved. This is the reason. The hunters are different, especially the 5 members of Luo Yuan in front of him. Chapter 142. Chapter 116. Great Righteousness, Hunting Flood Dragons, Saliva 5-in-1 Mega Chapter /3. Luo Yuan, Zhao Long, and their 2 other brothers, along with Yuan Cheng, who just had a breakthrough, were now capable of hunting together. Xia Hong did not plan to lead the hunting team forever. The hard currency of the camp, cold beast meat, would soon be obtained by them. If they were dissatisfied with the current distribution method, then Xia Hong would really have to make a new one. Leader, how do we divide the contribution points for the prey during joint hunts? The 5 of them remained silent for a short while, before Yuan Cheng was the first to speak. Hearing the question, Xia Hong had a peculiar expression, but after thinking it over, he still replied, under normal circumstances, it's naturally based on the role each of you plays. This is something for you to discuss among yourselves during your joint hunts. If I'm out hunting with you, I won't take any contribution value. You all can split it evenly. The leader is magnanimous. Hearing Xia Hong's words, the 5 of them suddenly showed joy in their eyes. Luo Yuan couldn't help but speak up. Xia Hong chuckled and shook his head. He was the leader, and what's more, he had the strength and didn't really need these things, so it was fine to distribute them to others. Seeing that the 5 had no other questions, Xia Hong still wore a peculiar expression. After glancing around at the 5, he continued, "Do you have any objections to the contribution point conversion for the 5 types of prey?" Hearing Xia Hong's question, the 5 looked puzzled for a moment, but all shook their heads. This made Xia Hong's expression even more peculiar. Could it be that these 5 people couldn't do the math? Luo Yuan noticed Xia Hong's expression, evidently realizing something, and his face showed a hint of anger. He said, "Leader, you are underestimating us too much. Putting everything else aside, we risked our lives before to save us and provided so much cold beast meat for our cultivation without any compensation. Such selflessness ensures our safety. Without the leader's contribution, we would have no chance of breaking through to the earth-digging realm, and the great Xia wouldn't be what it is today. We venture out hunting with the intention of contributing to the great Xia. If we kept tabs on every little thing and only thought about ourselves, would we even be considered worthy of being part of the great Xia?" After Luo Yuan spoke, Zhao Long and the other 2, as well as Yuan Cheng, immediately understood. So Xia Hong had remained silent for so long because he thought they would be dissatisfied with the prey contribution point conversion. "If not for the leader, I would have died long ago and wouldn't have the good life I have now. Leader, even if it's 200 or 300 points, even if you ask me to hunt for free, I, Yuan Cheng, have no objections whatsoever. The leader's great kindness is etched in our hearts. Even if the 3 of us brothers do more, it wouldn't match what you, the leader, have done before. Just like Yuan Cheng, as long as the leader gives the word, the 3 of us will charge ahead, go through fire and water without any complaints." Their declarations moved Xia Hong slightly. Xia Hong glanced at the 5, before finally turning his gaze to Xia Chuan beside him. Xia Chuan had a helpless smile on his face. He pouted at Xia Hong. Xia Hong also chuckled and shook his head. Though he made no sound, he immediately understood what Xia Chuan meant. "See, I knew it would be like this." The contribution point conversion for the 5 types of cold beast prey was something Xia Chuan and Xia Hong had discussed together. According to Xia Chuan's initial plan, the contribution points for the 5 types of prey were much lower. It was Xia Hong's fear that Luo Yuan and the others would object that made him insist on increasing them. Xia Chuan had said at the time that the 5 would not mind, but Xia Hong did not believe it. Now it seemed Xia Chuan was right. Or perhaps Xia Hong, did not fully appreciate the exemplary influence he had, and his high prestige among the people in the camp. Well, I was being petty. Your noble awareness ensures that all my efforts were not in vain. The stronger the great Xia becomes, the better your lives will be. Conversely, the better your lives, the stronger the great Xia will naturally become. Just remember one thing. The future of the great Xia is deeply connected with each and every one in the camp, and the two complement each other. Got it, leader? The five answered in unison, greatly invigorating Xia Hong's spirits. He looked up towards the cloud mist zone and pointed distantly with a large axe. Remember the 3 points I mentioned earlier, prepare to enter. After speaking, Xia Hong led the way, and the remaining 5 quickly caught up behind him. As the toxic mist grew thicker, Xia Hong felt the air becoming extremely unsuitable for breathing. He quickly pulled out the thoroughly soaked leather from his chest and covered his nose and mouth with it. The other 5 did the same. With their noses and mouths covered, the 6 of them plunged into the cloud mist zone. Their estimated body length is around 35 meters, 65 centimeters thick, similar to the one we encountered earlier. The range of the cloud mist zone is roughly 50 meters in diameter. After cautiously advancing about 10 meters into the cloud mist zone, the group looked up and already spotted their target. Xia Hong spoke in a low voice, muffled by the cloth covering his nose and mouth, so the sound wasn't very clear. However, the 6 who were close by could still hear him well. The trees in Redwood Ridge were already large, with the cloud mist zone's 50-meter range encompassing only a few dozen large trees. The Tengjiao was right above a large tree in the center area. The trunk of that tree had a diameter of about 8 meters, not the thickest, but the main trunk was exceptionally tall with many offshoots extending to the sides, where the body of the Tengjiao was coiled twistedly, with only its tail hanging to the ground. Chapter 143. Chapter 116. Great Righteousness, Hunting Flood Dragons, Saliva 5-in-1 Mega Chapter /4. There are 3 large trees around, just barely reaching Tengjiao's body. I'll go to the one on the left. The 6 of you, Zhao Long, Zhao Hu, and Zhao Bao, go to the front one. Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, and Yuan Cheng go to the one at the back. Once under the tree, no one should make any noise. Climb up quietly, and after finding a good position, decide on your attack strategy to deliver a single, powerful strike and inflict the greatest damage possible. For climbing the tree and finding a position, I'll only give you about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, watch for my signal and we'll attack together. Judging from previous hunting experiences, with such a massive creature as Tengjiao, expecting a one-hit kill is impossible with the strength of their group of 7. If that's the case, they can only aim for a severe hit to minimize costs for subsequent hunting. After Xia Hong finished speaking, he kept silent and gestured towards the trees in front and behind Tengjiao. The 6 behind him immediately split into 2 groups and sneaked over with no sound. Seeing all 6 begin to climb the trees, Xia Hong also moved under the large tree on the left, tightened the giant axe on his back, and started to climb up. Tengjiao's position was too high, at least over 10 meters off the ground, with only its tail hanging down to the ground. Without climbing, they couldn't reach its main body. In the cloud mist zone, all was silent and tranquil. Only 7 black silhouettes ascended the trees, trunks silently. While climbing, Xia Hong suddenly felt an icy sensation in his right hand, followed by a sticky feel, causing a moment of alarm. What is this? Exerting force with his left hand to hold steady, Xia Hong withdrew his right hand and, shocked, saw a large glob of translucent sticky liquid on it. Slightly raising his head, he noticed another large glob on the bark above. Why does this seem like some kind of secretion? Startled, Xia Hong looked up quickly and realized the secretion came from Tengjiao, which was sleeping. To be accurate, it was the saliva dripping from the corner of its mouth as it slept. He chose the tree on the left because Tengjiao's head was drooping directly above this tree. Tengjiao's saliva didn't seem to flow continuously. Although its mouth corner hung a strand of saliva, it accumulated slowly and seemed like it would take a long time to fall. The glob on the tree must have dripped previously. Without further thought, Xia Hong continued to climb. As he passed the large glob of saliva, a fragrant scent filled his nostrils, suddenly invigorating his senses and brightening his eyes. Can this saliva neutralize poison? Covering their mouth and nose with damp cloths didn't completely block the cloud mist zone's poison, but their earth-digging realm physique allowed them temporary resistance to this filtered poison mist. Upon entering the cloud mist zone, a strong discomfort was felt within their bodies. But just now, after inhaling the fragrant scent of the saliva, Xia Hong distinctly felt the discomfort within him disappear instantly. Confirm it later, focus on the task first. Suppressing his excitement, Xia Hong took some saliva with his hand and smeared it on his face, then continued climbing. For those long experienced in hunting, tree climbing was no challenge. A height of just over 10 meters would usually take 7 or 8 seconds at most. But facing Teng Jiao for the first time, coupled with Xia Hong's repeated instructions, everyone climbed cautiously, taking roughly 2 to 3 minutes to reach the top. Being the first to reach the top, Xia Hong carefully moved to a horizontal branch, glancing at Teng Jiao's head, which was less than 10 meters away from him. Teng Jiao's eyes were tightly shut, and the white mist from its nostrils almost solidified. The 2 bulges on its forehead intensified its ferocious visage. Xia Hong, concentrating his mind, worried about startling it with his proximity, withdrew the giant axe from his back, turned and looked towards the other 2 trees. Xia Chuan and the 3 brothers Zhao Long were ready. Each of the 6 had drawn their weapons. Seeing Xia Hong looking over, they nodded at him from a distance, signaling their readiness. Taking a deep breath, Xia Hong extended his right hand, preparing to signal. As he turned to look at Teng Jiao, panic suddenly gripped him. The previously closed eyes of Teng Jiao were wide open. Its pair of red vertical pupils stared intently at him, even pivoting slightly to glance at the front and back trees. And that's not all. The body of Teng Jiao, originally coiled around the middle tree, had somehow spread out, entwining all 3 trees occupied by the 7, including Xia Hong. Astonishingly, this Teng Jiao had silently moved so much without any of them noticing. How is this possible? Attack, it's already discovered us. The hairs on Xia Hong's back stood on end, a chill running through him as he shouted to the 6 on the other trees. Simultaneously, he gripped his double-edged giant axe firmly and charged directly toward Teng Jiao's head. Hearing Xia Hong's voice and realizing Teng Jiao had awakened, the 6 immediately sprang into action. Xia Chuan leapt forward, left hand holding a flying line and right wielding the black blade, lunging toward Teng Jiao's back. Luo Yuan, positioned higher, jumped and swung directly at Teng Jiao's spine. Yuan Cheng tightened his grip on the shock frost saber, pushing off the tree and slicing horizontally at Teng Jiao's flank. The Zhao Long brothers at the front didn't use blades. Skilled in archery, they were positioned to have a clear line of sight to Teng Jiao's eyes. As Xia Hong's shout echoed, the 3 fired their preloaded iron black arrows swiftly. Chapter 144. Chapter 116. Great Righteousness, Hunting Flood Dragons, Saliva 5-in-1 Mega Chapter /5. Their preparation was exceedingly thorough. They followed Xia Hong's orders to the letter without exception, except for the unexpected early awakening of Teng Jiao. It was likely more than just a little early. It silently wound its body around the 3 large trees they were climbing, without them detecting the slightest movement. This Teng Jiao awoke much earlier than I anticipated. When did it wake? When did Teng Jiao wake up? Xia Hong had no time to consider this question now. The moment he drew the giant axe and charged forward, he realized this hunt was likely far more challenging than expected. Roar! Crag, 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 crag. Indeed, as he had anticipated, Teng Jiao let out a roar, and its 30-meter-long body suddenly exerted immense power, with the sounds of 4 trees breaking one after another. The 3 trees where the 7 of them were perched, along with the 1 Teng Jiao was coiling around, 4 trees in total, each over 6 meters in diameter, snapped directly. The meticulously prepared 6 people, including Xia Hong, who knew in advance, saw their efforts go to waste. As the trees collapsed, Xia Hong halted his charge, retracted the giant axe, grabbed onto the tree trunk and leapt away in the direction of the fall. Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, and Yuan Cheng also fell from the trees. Although the black arrows of Zhao Long and his brothers were launched, their footing was unsteady, significantly compromising their accuracy, falling far short of hitting Teng Jiao's eyes. Bang, bang. Scatter, find your own opportunities. The 4 trees crashed in batches, with 2 loud crashes, and after dodging, Xia Hong shouted to the other 6 people and charged straight at Teng Jiao, who also landed on the ground. Whoosh! The giant axe shook the air, emitting a whooshing sound that made Teng Jiao's pupils contract slightly, seemingly able to sense the immense power within Xia Hong. Teng Jiao's ferocity was also gradually being stimulated, its immense body twisting and turning rapidly, quickly freeing itself from the collapsing trees. Tang Jiao's abdomen contracted. Its upper body rose from the ground, and with an angry roar, its massive tail whipped up a gale as it swept horizontally towards Xia Hong. Whoosh and whoosh and whoosh. Several sharp arrows sped in from the flanks, precisely from the Nara-covered Zhao Long and his brothers. They launched arrows continuously, releasing more than a dozen shots in 3 or 4 breaths, all targeting Tang Jiao's eyes. At the same time, on the other side, Xia Chuan stood atop a broken tree trunk, his hand deftly maneuvering the white thread as he darted left and right around Tang Jiao's body. Luo Yuan and Yuan Cheng preferred a direct assault, with both wielding large knives from left to right, charging towards the base of Tang Jiao's upright form. Amidst dealing with so many attacks, Tang Jiao's sweeping strike towards Xia Hong was no longer as formidable as before, and needing to evade arrows and shift its body, Tang Jiao even showed signs of withdrawing its tail. "Did I permit you to withdraw it?" Xia Hong, ready to withstand with the giant axe, fixed his gaze. Having been pursued by the rodent swarm earlier, he was already aware of Tang Jiao's strength, and he didn't consider this sweep much of a threat. Instead, he wanted to use Tang Jiao's power for a strike of his own. To his surprise, Tang Jiao was forced back by the other 6. Caught off guard, Xia Hong was not going to let it go, nor could he stand by while Tang Jiao escaped the 6 others, attacked so easily. The double-edged giant axe cut a fierce wind in the air as Xia Hong charged forward, seemingly gaining some momentum from the axe, his body reaching peak speed, catching up with Tang Jiao's withdrawing giant tail instantly. As he neared Tang Jiao's body, Xia Hong spun with the axe, raising it high and striking down from above. Wham! This powerful axe swing, nearly containing the limit of his bodily strength, emitted a fierce whistle, the cold gleam from the double-edged blade strikingly visible in the night. The giant axe inevitably cleaved into Tang Jiao's tail, which hadn't yet withdrawn. Green blood spurted several meters high, and Xia Hong could clearly feel that the bones in Tang Jiao's tail had no resistance against the giant axe, directly fracturing. This one axe actually cleaved straight through Tang Jiao's body, with 7 or 8 meters of tail severed, leaving a deep mark on the ground. Double-edged blade with a radius of 75 centimeters each. Your bulk may be large, but in the face of this giant axe, it's still not enough. Taking a deep breath, Xia Hong looked at the severed Tang Jiao with a hint of coldness in his eyes. This giant axe wasn't just aimed at Tang Jiao. It could be said it was tailor-made for massive prey. Roar! The sound of the injured Tang Jiao now carried a trace of alarm, no longer as aggressive as before. Clearly, it hadn't expected Xia Hong's power to be so formidable. Following Xia Hong's strike, Tang Jiao was met with even more precise and intense attacks from the other 6 people. With black arrows whizzing by, Zhao Long and his brothers nearly emptied the arrow quiver on their backs in one go. Although Tang Jiao struggled desperately to retreat, barely avoiding the arrows, many still hit its forehead and body. The large knives of Luo Yuan and Yuan Cheng were already shearing Tang Jiao's body, and as Tang Jiao's body flipped over, they constantly shifted positions to inflict maximum harm with their knives. Having exhausted their arrows, Zhao Long and his brothers also drew their knives and joined the fray, pushing back Tang Jiao, who was already overwhelmed, into a constant retreat. Chapter 145. Chapter 116. Great Righteousness, Hunting Flood Dragons, Saliva 5-in-1 Mega Chapter /6. The serpent creature with a severed tail struggled with balance, and as its injuries worsened, its entangled struggles grew increasingly feeble. In a brief moment of struggle, it glanced around at the crowd, its eyes flashing a red glow before finally fixing its gaze on Yuan Cheng, the closest to it. Such subtle movements went unnoticed by anyone present. Worried that the serpent might escape, Xia Hong moved to the front, flanking it together with Xia Chuan from both sides. Seeing the creature's head move less and less, Xia Hong stopped wasting time and swung his axe directly at its face. Hiss! In this critical moment, the serpent creature suddenly flipped its body, swinging its head around to face Luo Yuan and the 5 attacking it, opening its mouth wide. A thick green mist spewed forth from its mouth. The speed was so swift, and the mist so dense that it didn't seem like mist being spewed, but rather a green light beam. Get out of the way. After hunting for so long, with the group's heightened sensitivity and caution, Xia Hong's warning was hardly needed. The moment the serpent turned its head, Luo Yuan and the five, including Xia Chuan at the rear, were already dodging. Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, Zhao Long, and the others managed to evade in time. Only Yuan Cheng, who had just broken through to the earth-digging realm, perhaps eager for heroics, was climbing above the serpent's abdomen. Being the closest, he couldn't dodge in time. Though he covered his mouth and nose and tried to avoid the attack, the mist still hit him on the back. The serpent, with its mouth still open, seemed intent on intensifying the mist. Xia Hong, who had moved to the serpent's rear, showed an urgent expression on his face, quickened his movements, and wielded his large axe, slashing horizontally from right to left. Crunch! The serpent, already at its wit's end, was completely severed by the blow. Its head and over 10 meters of its body collapsed, and the green mist from its mouth gradually faded away as it had nothing left to sustain it. The successful serpent hunt elicited a moment of relief from Xia Hong as he gazed at the creature's three-segmented body on the ground. However, Yuan Cheng's anguished scream immediately made his heart clench in worry again. Xia Hong set down his axe and quickly ran to Yuan Cheng's side. The other five, visibly tense, gathered around. Yuan Cheng's eyes were bright red as he lay on the ground, struggling and wailing. His back clothes had been completely burned away, and his skin was rapidly ulcerating, spreading alarmingly fast to other parts of his body. "Hold him down first, don't let him move, wait for me." Xia Hong hesitated only briefly before instructing the five to restrain the now semi-conscious Yuan Cheng, while he turned to search for something on the ground. The five, unsure of why, nevertheless quickly restrained Yuan Cheng. No. A semi-conscious individual at the earth-digging realm, driven by extreme pain, could unleash tremendous strength. The five, gritting their teeth, held him down, one on the head, the others on his limbs. Yet even so, they struggled to restrain Yuan Cheng's forceful writhing on the ground. This serpent's poison is terrifying. Seeing Yuan Cheng in such a pitiful state, the five felt an involuntary chill. Watching the ulceration on Yuan Cheng's back spread to his arm, they couldn't help but feel some sadness. Especially Xia Chuan, who was closest to Yuan Cheng. His eyes were full of reluctance. At this point it seemed hopeless. However, Xia Hong soon returned after searching among the broken trees, holding a large glob of viscous liquid in his hand. Xia Hong rushed forward, ignoring the confused stares from the five, and smeared the thick, transparent liquid on Yuan Cheng's back and arms. The five restraining Yuan Cheng were suddenly taken aback, then immediately showed expressions of joy, as they clearly felt that the moment the liquid was applied to his back, Yuan Cheng's struggles decreased significantly. And then they continued to diminish. The serpent's saliva is actually the antidote to the poison mist. Seeing Yuan Cheng's back rapidly recovering, Xia Hong's mood instantly relaxed. He marveled at the wonder of the species and immediately realized something, looking at the saliva with eyes that suddenly lit up. Chapter 146, Chapter 117, Teng Jiao Saliva and Poison Source 2-in-1. Although Teng Jiao is dead, the poison mist still hasn't dispersed for a while. No need to wait, pack up and let's go quickly. Yuan Cheng's back was recovering from the ulceration, and the speed was quite rapid, but there were still no signs of him reviving. Sensing a growing discomfort within, Xia Hong promptly ordered everyone to pack up and leave. Xia Chuan carried Yuan Cheng off the ground, while the four people, including Luo Yuan, each carried a segment of Teng Jiao's body, following behind Xia Hong as they returned to camp together. The whole operation just now took less than 20 minutes in total. Teng Jiao's strength wasn't that formidable. The only troublesome part was the poison mist. Without me, your team's difficulty in leading a hunt would still be considerable. For the time being, you should remain on the outskirts when leading hunting trips. Yes, leader. The five people hurrying along in the back showed some excitement upon hearing Xia Hong's words. With prey like snow mane, frost wolf, and demon sheep, as long as they weren't encountered in groups, the six of them leading the hunting team could hunt with no difficulty. Xia Hong had previously mentioned that he would let them take charge. With Xia Hong's current statement, it was clear that their performance had gained his approval, and he was planning to officially hand over the hunting team to them, which naturally stirred a sense of excitement within the six of them. How did this Teng Jiao discover us just now? Zhao Long, carrying a segment of Teng Jiao's head, asked in a puzzled tone. At his query, everyone began to ponder. Xia Hong also furrowed his brows. This question had been on his mind too. In the ice abyss world, The extreme cold temperatures make it difficult for smells to spread. Whether cold beasts or humans, it's hard to determine enemies through scent. Similarly, the extreme low temperature makes all objects, including humans, have very low body temperatures when outdoors, making it impossible to rely on heat sensing. Moreover, they had minimized noise based on previous hunting experience, during which nighttime was a rest period for cold beasts. As long as they weren't provoked, they wouldn't wake up. Last time when being chased by a rodent swarm, it was the same. There wasn't a sound, yet Teng Jiao discovered us early. Could it be that the entire area shrouded by clouds and mist is Teng Jiao's sensing range? Hearing Luo Yuan's speculation, everyone's eyes lit up, including Xia Hong's. But then Xia Hong shook his head and said, "A sensing range of 50 meters is unlikely. If it had such a great power, then this Teng Jiao wouldn't be something we could handle. Moreover, if it had discovered us as soon as we entered the cloud mist zone, tonight's hunt wouldn't have been this easy." From discovering Teng Jiao upon entering the cloud mist zone to arranging everything and all 7 climbing up trees, the whole process took at least 10 minutes. If they had been detected that early, Teng Jiao would have had plenty of methods to deal with the 7 of them. One thing is certain, both the previous and tonight's Teng Jiao detected us in advance without us realizing. If you think about what common traits these 2 Teng Jiaos exhibited while they made their dens, you should find the answer. Upon Xia Hong's mention, Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan immediately began recalling. Apart from Xia Hong, only they had seen 2 Teng Jiaos. The tail. Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan simultaneously blurted out, evidently thinking of the same thing. Hearing the word tail, Xia Hong was momentarily startled. Then a spark appeared in his eyes, and a look of sudden realization came across his face. That's right. The tails of both Teng Jiaos that lurked in the trees were inserted into the snow on the ground. Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan's guess is probably correct. Teng Jiao most likely senses ground vibrations with its tail to determine enemies. Close to the truth. Next time before hunting a Teng Jiao, test it out. Xia Chuan, remember this when you return, and if confirmed after testing, make sure to record it in the Great Xia Cold Beast record. Yes, leader. Detecting the seriousness in Xia Hong's voice, Xia Chuan solemnly nodded in acknowledgement. Xia Hong wasn't spending time guessing Teng Jiao's adversarial methods and habits without reason. After every hunt, he would lead everyone in reviewing the process, summarizing individual losses and the traits of different preys. The main purpose behind this was to compile the Great Xia Cold Beast record. Since seeing the Cold Beast scroll left behind by Luo Ming, Xia Hong began this project. From the current perspective, most of the casualties during camp hunts were due to unfamiliarity with the prey. Hence, collecting information on various cold beasts became especially crucial. The current Great Xia Cold Beast record documents only 7 cold beasts: Snow Mane, Frost Wolf, Demon Sheep, Rodent, Teng Jiao, Thunder Kui, and Blue Moon Elf, with the latter 2 yet to have been encountered. But as the hunting team's activity range expands, they encounter more cold beasts, and the records will surely grow. Future generations benefit from previous efforts. Although the current documentation seems redundant, it will be immensely valuable for those later joining the hunting effort at camp. Reducing member casualties during hunts, increasing hunting success rates, demystifying cold beasts to make them less enigmatic. The compilation of the Great Xia Cold Beast record is of immense significance to Great Xia. Xia Chuan also understood this reason, which is why he responded to Xia Hong's instructions with such solemnity. Chapter 147, Chapter 117, Teng Jiao Saliva and Poison Source 2-in-1/2. The group quickly returned to the camp. There's a large snake. It's huge. The leader hunted 3 of them. Not 3, just 1. It was cut into 3 parts. So terrifying. As soon as they carried the 3 parts of the serpent into the camp, it drew a crowd of onlookers. The adults were unfazed, just pointing and commenting. Some of the children, however, hid behind the adults, scared yet eager to look. Some of the younger ones were even frightened to tears. Leader, leave it to us to handle. Xi Ping walked up through the crowd, and, after Xia Chuan gestured, took the serpent's body from Luo Yuan and the others. The hunting team now handed over all the game they brought back to the camp supply station for processing. Xia Chuan was the camp supply officer, but he was also a member of the hunting team, so he usually let Xi Ping and others handle these chores. However, before Xi Ping could leave, Xia Hong called him back. "The serpent's body is dangerous. Wait for me to handle it." Xi Ping nodded immediately. Though the camp supply station had plenty of experience processing prey, the serpent was a new type of game, so Xia Hong's special instructions were to be followed. Xia Hong didn't rush to handle the serpent's body, but first returned to the second floor of the wooden house with Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, and others. Upon reaching the second floor main hall, Xia Chuan put Yuan Cheng, who was on his back, down. Xia Hong moved closer, examined his back, and saw that most of the sores had scabbed over. He breathed a sigh of relief and took some Tang Jiao saliva from his pack to apply. "Have someone specially take care of him here and wait for him to wake up." Xia Chuan nodded, knowing he didn't even need to find someone himself. Yuan Cheng's mother, Su Lan, had already been waiting anxiously nearby with a worried face. While others were focused on the game, Su Lan's eyes were only on her severely injured and comatose son. With so many people downstairs, she hadn't been able to get close. Now she finally heard Xia Hong wanted someone to care for her son, so she rushed over immediately. "Auntie, don't worry, Cheng is okay. He should wake up soon." Seeing Su Lan gently stroke Yuan Cheng's scabbed wounds, wiping away tears. Beside her, Xia Chuan quickly offered some comfort. Meanwhile, Xia Hong, holding that lump of slime, had already gone to the second-floor alchemy room alone. The alchemy room was empty, with only a medicine decoction pot in the middle and a large array of neatly categorized wooden cabinets against the wall. Xia Hong went to the medicine decoction pot, opened the lid, scooped a bit of the slime and put it in. A known item usable for medicine appraisal cost, coal 50. Tusk. Seeing the appraisal price, Xia Hong couldn't help but click his tongue. Last time, Cheng Feng's appraisal of blue frost grass cost only 20 units, yet this slime's appraisal fee is this high. 50 units of coal resources convert to 1,000 pounds of coal stone. Camp Great Xia Level 0. Lord Xia Hong. Population 1096. Resources: wood 28,275, coal 322, iron 120, silver 0, gold 0. Activated buildings 4. Iron refining furnace level 2, wooden mannequin level 1, medicine decoction pot level 1, polishing stone level 1. Inactive buildings 5. Green bamboo fence marking stone, yellow earth, small wooden table, rough iron chain. The resources were not unaffordable. As the earth-digging realm's population grew and the new buildings were completed, the aggregation speed of coal and iron resources had increased significantly. If not for forging that giant axe yesterday, which used 280 units, the surplus of iron resources would still be a bit more than coal. The new house has only been built for 3 days, and now we have 2 chewing teeth chisels. The coal and iron income will only increase moving forward. 50 points it is then. The more it costs, the more useful it is likely to be. Moreover, it might even be the key to dealing with the rodent swarm. Although it hurt a bit, Xia Hong still promptly invested 50 units of coal resources into the medicine decoction pot. As the coal stone went in, the medicine decoction pot radiated a burst of light, and information about the slime also surfaced in Xia Hong's mind. Name: Tangjiao saliva. Usable as a supplementary material for preparing Dan medicine. Can be applied to cure external wounds caused by Tangjiao poison. Can be sniffed to alleviate Tangjiao poison missed in the body. As expected, the first and second uses of the Tangjiao saliva were as Xia Hong had guessed. This slime had a peculiar fragrance, so it wasn't surprising it could be used as a supplementary material to prepare Dan medicine. Its application on Yuan Cheng's back resulted in the immediate healing of his festering wounds, which confirmed the second function. Only the third had Xia Hong furrow his brows slightly. It could merely be sniffed to alleviate, not cure. In other words, it only slightly improved the effect of covering one's face with a damp cloth, allowing someone to endure the Tangjiao poison mist for a longer time. It couldn't completely block the poison mist's effects on people. It seems like other supplementary materials are needed to refine it into a Dan medicine. Xia Hong's expression slightly tensed as he looked at the medicinal resources recorded by the medicine decoction pot, which had already reached over 40 kinds. Yet, currently, the only formed formula remained the golden sore powder. He couldn't help but shake his head in resignation. The medicine decoction pot automatically synthesized formulas based on appraised materials. Luck sure isn't on our side. Cheng Feng has collected over 20 types of medicinal materials during this time, and yet no formula can be synthesized. Xia Hong didn't blame Cheng Feng. Judging from the over 20 types of medicinal materials he had brought back in this period, it was clear the collection team wasn't shirking their duties. The main issue was that there weren't many with pharmaceutical knowledge in the team. If there were some pharmacological knowledge, they could possibly bring back related medicinal materials through association, which might slightly increase the probability of synthesizing a formula. Chapter 148. Chapter 117 Tang Jiao Saliva and Poison Source, combined chapters /3. Although Xia Hong understood this principle, he had no way to improve it. He himself had no knowledge of pharmacology, and the civilization of the Ice Abyss world was inherently incomplete. There may be people with this knowledge, but Great Xia Camp definitely didn't have them. We can only wait for Cheng Feng to slowly explore on his own, or hope for a gifted individual to appear. Otherwise, we should rely on piling coal stones, letting the medicine decoction pot continuously identify medicinal materials, which could also increase the probability of synthesizing new formulas. For now, these seem to be the only methods. Xia Hong shook his head and stored all the Tang Jiao saliva in the wooden cabinet against the wall, labeled them, and then left. After leaving the alchemy room, Xia Hong went directly to the camp supply station. In the camp supply station, Shi Ping and 3 others were surrounding a gigantic wooden table, on which was piled the Tang Jiao that they had just brought back. Greetings, leader. Xia Hong slightly waved his hand, walked up to the Tang Jiao and looked back at the 4. Start processing, be careful. Before this Tang Jiao died, it could spray poison mist from its nose and mouth, so be extra cautious when handling the head area. Understood, leader. Great Xia is no longer what it used to be. With daily hunts, there are naturally people specialized in processing prey. Cold beast materials are managed by the camp supply station, and those responsible for handling the prey also come from there. From the actions of the 4, it was obvious that Shi Ping was just there to notify, while the other 3 were the main butchers handling the prey. Skinning, extracting tendons, deboning, dividing the meat. The 3 wielded butcher knives, working together seamlessly, their process fluid and smooth. Xia Hong watched in awe until they started processing the head of the Tang Jiao, when he hurriedly focused his attention, stood up, ready to respond to any emergencies. The Tang Jiao poison mist is lethal if inhaled in the logging realm. Even though the Tang Jiao was dead, who knows if the poison mist had weakened? If a few logging realm hunters died just from processing the Tang Jiao's body, it would be a huge loss. Fortunately, the 3 from the camp supply station were indeed very experienced in handling prey. The 3 carefully cut open the head, especially the nose and mouth areas that Xia Hong had mentioned, using small knives to slowly carve them out. With such meticulous procedures, the 3 extracted a fist-sized chunk of throbbing meat from the Tang Jiao's throat area. Inside that meat, there was a pure white round pearl, emitting a white stream, continuously expanding outward, making the meat bulge like a living creature, quite mysterious. The 3 wrapped the meat in leather cloth and handed it to Xia Hong beside them. Leader, this pearl should be the toxin source. Xia Hong had already stepped forward to take the meat. There was no need for an explanation. Smelling the scent emitting from the meat, he immediately realized that the pearl inside was the source of the Tang Jiao poison mist. What are your names? The 3 were taken aback for a moment, then looked pleasantly surprised and answered immediately. Reporting to the leader, my name is Tong Xinglong. Reporting to the leader, my name is Tong Xingsheng. Reporting to the leader, my name is Ying Ye. Upon hearing their names, Xia Hong raised an eyebrow slightly. No wonder they were unfamiliar. All 3 of them were originally from the Rojal camp. If he remembered correctly, Tong Xinglong and Ying Yi were 2 of the 15 logging realm hunters from Rojal camp during the merger. As for the last one, Tong Xingsheng, judging by his name and appearance, he was clearly Tong Xinglong's brother. How are your contribution values calculated at the camp supply station? The 3 were slightly taken aback, clearly not expecting Xia Hong to ask that. After a moment, Tong Xinglong answered, the 3 of us handle the prey. Lord Xia Chuan said, regardless of the size of the cold beast, every 500 pounds of meat accounts for 1 contribution value. Aside from this, distributing cold beast meat each night to the reservists and monthly to children under 6 is also our responsibility, and each time accounts for 1 point. Besides these 2 methods, if we want to earn more contribution points, We can help the logging team or collection team when the camp supply station isn't busy. 500 pounds for 1 point, and a single cold beast often yields over 1,000 pounds of meat, which is 2 points. Adding a point for distributing cold beast meat, that's a baseline of at least 3 points every night. Taking extra help into account from other areas, the camp supply station's compensation is actually quite comparable to that of the collection and logging teams. You guys are doing well. In the future, when processing prey, even if no one reminds you, be as careful as you were this time. Especially with unfamiliar prey, be sure to be cautious. If we're unharmed during the hunt outside but something happens due to your processing, that would be bad. Yes, leader. Hearing the care in Xia Hong's tone, a touch of emotion flashed in the eyes of the three, who quickly nodded respectfully, filled with admiration. Xia Hong pondered for a moment, then said to Xi Ping behind him, "Add 3 contribution points to each of them." Xi Ping heard this and immediately nodded in compliance. Tong Xinglong and the other two were incredibly excited. If Xia Hong hadn't stopped them, they might have knelt down to express their gratitude. "No need for that. I thought this Tang Jiao's body might be troublesome to deal with, but it turns out you did well. Keep up the good work in the future." To be personally asked their names by Xia Hong, along with the bonus of 3 contribution points, that was already an unexpected pleasure. Upon hearing Xia Hong's last verbal commendation, the three were even more inspired. "Rest assured, leader, the 3 of us will certainly work diligently in the future." All 3 bowed their heads simultaneously, formally saluting Xia Hong. "All right, you 3 continue handling it. Xi Ping, stay here, and after it's processed, send all the Tang Jiao spine to the blacksmith room." "Yes, leader." Xi Ping also nodded in compliance, and when he looked up again, he found Xia Hong already gone. To be personally commended by the leader, you 3 are quite lucky. Helatu. Hearing Xi Ping's teasing, Tong Xinglong and the other 2 burst into hearty laughter. Chapter 149, Chapter 118, Poison Sack making a bow 2-in-1. Leader, Yuan Cheng has woken up. As soon as Xia Hong stepped out of the camp supply station, he was informed that Yuan Cheng had awakened, and he hurried to the main hall. By the iron refining furnace in the main hall, Yuan Cheng had indeed awakened. Although he was still lying down and his complexion was pale, the wounds on his back had improved significantly, and judging by his mental state, his recovery seemed quite good. "Greetings, leader." Seeing Xia Hong approach, everyone quickly paid their respects, giving way for him. "All right, you don't need to move, just keep lying down and recovering." Seeing Yuan Cheng struggle to get up, Xia Hong immediately stopped him, taking another look at his back, estimating that he should recover in a day or 2, and breathed a heavy sigh of relief. "Next time you go hunting, don't get so close to the prey. Consider yourself lucky this time. I found out in advance that Tang Jiao saliva could detoxify, or else you wouldn't have survived. I was too reckless this time. Yuan Cheng will definitely keep this in mind from now on." Yuan Cheng nodded heavily in agreement, a hint of fear lingering in his eyes. The lesson this time was harsh. If he didn't wise up, it would cost him his life. He understood the gravity of the situation. Seeing the fear in his eyes, knowing he had learned his lesson, Xia Hong didn't say more. There are only 7 in the earth-digging realm at the camp, which isn't many, and losing any one of them would be a heartache for Xia Hong, more so since Yuan Cheng is one of the old members from Great Xia, who followed from hill to here. They shared deep bonds. "Leader, why is your leather bag smoking?" Upon hearing the reminder, Xia Hong quickly turned to check the leather bag hanging at his waist and was momentarily stunned. The leather bag was indeed emitting thin white smoke. "Spread out, everyone, quickly spread out." Realizing something, Xia Hong shouted, urging everyone to disperse. Inside the leather bag was the Tang Jiao poison sack he had just taken from the camp supply station. Seeing everyone scatter, and even Yuan Cheng on the ground being carried away with no one showing symptoms, Xia Hong let out a sigh of relief, looking at the leather bag he had resealed tight, frowning deeply. Wasn't the Tang Jiao poison sack wrapped in chunks of meat? It didn't disperse earlier, so why is it suddenly leaking now? After pondering for a moment, Xia Hong turned his gaze to the iron refining furnace. A hint of realization crossed his face. He then slowly moved the leather bag closer to the furnace. Sizzle! As the temperature of the leather bag rose, the Tang Jiao poison sack inside emitted a faint sizzling sound, thin streams of white smoke slowly rising. Xia Hong quickly pulled the leather bag away. Understanding immediately set in. While squatting to check on Yuan Cheng, the leather bag at his waist was too close to the iron refining furnace, inadvertently heating the Tang Jiao poison sac inside, which caused the toxic fog to release. High temperatures can unleash the toxin from the poison sac. Realizing this, Xia Hong's expression sharpened, then a glimmer of excitement filled his eyes, his demeanor turned ecstatic. "I've got it, I've got it." Xia Hong tightened his grip on the leather bag, his expression full of excitement. "Someone go to the mine and inform Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan, all 5 of them, to meet me in the blacksmith room. I'll be waiting inside." Since the hunt tonight took a short time, and it was still early before dawn, Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan had headed to the mine to gather iron once they returned. "Yes, leader." As someone went to notify the 5, Xia Hong didn't linger in the main hall, heading next door to the blacksmith room. Once in the blacksmith room, concerned that the Tang Jiao poison sac might leak again, he carefully wrapped it with another layer of leather. After pondering in a chair for a moment, the 5, Xia Chuan, Luo Yuan, and the others, hurriedly entered from outside. "Please have a seat." The camp's abundant wood supply ensured an ample amount of wooden chairs in the blacksmith room, alchemy room, and the main hall, which are public areas. Seeing the curiosity on the faces of the 5 seated, Xia Hong didn't keep them in suspense. He recounted the matters of the Tang Jiao poison sac and saliva. Zhao Long and his brothers were fine. Though they had seen the rodents, they weren't present during the time when they were chased by the rodent swarm into Tang Jiao's territory. At the scene were Xia Chuan and Luo Yuan, who, after hearing about the poison sac and saliva, thought for a moment, and instantly their eyes lit up. The 2 exchanged a look with Xia Hong, immediately understanding why he had gathered them. "Leader, if I'm not mistaken, you intend to use the Tang Jiao poison sac against the rodent swarm on the north slope?" Luo Yuan was the first to ask. Seeing Xia Hong nod, confirming his guess, his expression first showed excitement, but after a moment of thought he shook his head. "No, based on previous experiences, they aren't afraid of Tang Jiao. They charge through the toxic fog zone without hesitation. Trying to drive them away with toxic fog won't work. Moreover, the Tang Jiao poison probably won't kill the rodents, at most impair them, slowing their actions." Luo Yuan paused to glance at Xia Hong, immediately realizing that driving them away was Xia Hong's plan. "Your plan, big brother, is to use the toxic fog to weaken the rodents. Then we'll strike all at once, slaughtering the entire swarm." Xia Chuan continued Luo Yuan's thought, but even as he said it, both he and Luo Yuan, along with Zhao Long and his brothers, wore skeptical expressions. "It shouldn't be possible. Even if the strength of 300 to 400 rodents is weakened by the fog, it wouldn't be something they could handle. Not just 7 in the earth-digging realm. Even with all the logging realm members from the camp, they probably couldn't overcome the rodent swarm. What if, in addition, we have this?" Understanding what was on the minds of the 5, Xia Hong slowly walked to the wall of the blacksmith room, drawing a bow and arrow, and showed it to the 5. Chapter 150, Chapter 118, Poison Sac Bow Making 2 and 1/2. Seeing the bows and arrows for the first time, the 5 of them were momentarily stunned. But then, after pondering for a moment, their eyes immediately lit up. The defensive ability of the rodents is not strong. Bows and arrows are indeed useful. "We tried last time. Bows with a pull of over 10,000 pounds are extremely lethal to them. If shot accurately, they can even achieve a one-hit kill. Not feasible for the logging realm, but at least they can severely injure them. With enough quantity, hunting them isn't a problem. If we can release a lot of Tang Jiao poison mist, slowing them down, the accuracy of the bows and arrows will surely be high. Hunting them this way would indeed not be difficult. Moreover, if we can find a good position, we might not even have to suffer too many casualties. It's really possible. The only difficulty is that the number of rodent creatures is vast. To really deal with them, we need a large number of bows and Tang Jiao poison sacs." Compared to Luo Yuan and the others, Xia Chuan spoke last, clearly considering the situation more comprehensively. He struck at the heart of the most difficult challenge with his words. Xia Hong nodded slightly, his brows furrowed. "Chuan is right. To deal with those rodents, a large number of bows and Tang Jiao poison sacs are needed. Actually, more logging realm and earth-digging realm would also be required if possible, but we simply don't have enough time." If possible, Xia Hong certainly did not want to face the rodent swarm now. He could completely wait until the numbers from the earth-digging realm and logging realm of Great Xia were sufficient to resolve the hidden danger of the rodent group. The problem is that rodent swarm won't give him that much time. Within less than 2 kilometers of distance, they could discover the valley at any moment. If we don't seize the time to address it proactively, we're just waiting for death. Knock, knock, knock. Leader, the Teng Jiao Spinals have arrived. The knocking broke the meditation of the 6 inside the room. Come in. Shi Ping pushed open the door and walked in. Seeing Xia Chuan and the others, he first bowed to them, then handed over a bundle of Teng Jiao spine to Xia Hong that he was holding. That Teng Jiao has been completely processed. Besides that venom sac, there's also 5 pounds of thick liquid, likely the saliva the leader mentioned, with 22 10-pounds of meat, 38 meters of spinal cord, and all bones have been ground and stored. Xia Hong nodded to indicate understanding, then turned his gaze to the spinal cord in his hands. The Teng Jiao spine, with its elasticity, toughness, and durability, is the perfect material for bowstrings. There were already ready-made bows and arrows in the camp, and Xia Hong had studied them before, so he was not unfamiliar with it. The camp currently has 11 bows. Although the bow bodies are all made of 10 forged iron, the strings are only double-strung, with a pull of 5,000 pounds, which is actually not suitable for the earth-digging realm, isn't that right? As Xia Hong spoke, his gaze shifted to the 3 Zhao Long brothers. Zhao Long nodded. The 3 brothers had a high proficiency in archery and a deep understanding of bows and arrows. After pondering for a moment, he responded. Indeed, during the previous rescue of the people at Chenyi camp and the recent hunting of the Jiao, I felt the same. With my current basic strength, using a bow with a pull of 5,000 pounds for a long time would likely lead to the strings snapping. Double strings are indeed insufficient. For humans in the logging realm, with basic strength above 5,000 pounds, ordinary bows and arrows obviously cannot be used normally, let alone those in the earth-digging realm with basic strength above 10,000 pounds. Longbows generally comprise a bow body and bowstring. The iron in this world, unlike in the past though strong, has certain resilience and elasticity, hence the bow body materials must be made of iron. What doesn't even need to be tried, it can't even be used to make arrows. Previously, Xia Hong tried based on past life experience, using iron for the arrowhead and wood for the shaft. The result was that the arrows were too light, and when shot, not only was the attack power greatly reduced, but even the accuracy was abysmal. As for the bowstring, it's the Teng Jiao spine. Generally, bows used in the logging realm have 2 strings, and if you want to increase the pull, you must add more strings, which naturally requires more material. Don't worry about the bows for the earth-digging realm. A 5,000-pound pull bow is already enough to handle the rodent swarm. The camp's current logging realm numbers are enough. The main task now is to quickly craft a batch of bows and arrows. Secondly, to enhance the archery skills of all the logging realm in the camp. Upon hearing Xia Hong's words, the 5 of them all nodded. Currently, there are 152 individuals in the logging realm at the camp. In the short term, more people might break through to the earth-digging realm, but the number won't be high. Upon hearing the number of logging realm, Xia Hong nodded slightly, seeming satisfied. When construction on the log cabin started, there were already 140 people in the logging realm at the camp. But since then, when the collection team and logging team went out at night, 18 people were lost. Considering that, from the completion of the new cabin to today, in about a month, 30 people have newly broken through to the logging realm. A single 5,000-pound pull iron core bow requires at least 350 pounds of iron ore. The amount of iron used for an arrow is not much, just 5 pounds, but a bow needs to be equipped with at least 50 arrows. So, making a complete set of bows and arrows requires at least 600 pounds of iron ore, similar to the amount used for a broadsword. After calculating for a while, Xia Hong continued. To be safe, when dealing with the rodent swarm, the entire camp's logging realm should participate. Based on this calculation, we need to craft at least over 100 sets of iron core bows. It requires 600 pounds of iron ore to make a set of bows and arrows. 100 sets require 60,000 pounds of iron ore. The 6 people present calculated this number in their minds, and their brows slightly furrowed.